Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto was Heaven's son in High School DxD. Before I start, please support for more amazing content, and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by Tendoo and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1 Naruto Phoenix, October 10th. It was both the saddest and the happiest day for one Minato Phoenix. This day his wife, a human woman, Uzumaki Kushina, one of the last members of the extinct clan of Shinto priests, gave birth to his son, Naruto Phoenix, and that was the same day she died due to complications of her childbirth. Minato-kun, she said in a trembling from weakness voice, let me look at him. Minato could only smile sadly looking at his wife. Her blood-red hair lost its radiance, her violet eyes dulled. Not even famous Phoenix tears or medics from the famous Citri clan could heal her from an unknown disease. Sure, Kushina-chan, he answered and gave her their baby. He is beautiful, he is going to be a womanizer one day, she said and a tear rolled down her cheek. He got your eyes, hair, and even skin color, it's so unfair. He got your face shape, don't cause drama, Kushina-chan, joked Minato. Minato-kun, I know how pure-blooded devils look down to half-blooded ones. He may not be hated but he will be disliked for sure. Only your status as a brother of Lord Phoenix saves him from life as a low-class devil. She looked very serious. I want you to promise me that you will help him with all your power. I want you to promise me that you will save him from their power play. I want you to promise me that you will love him for both of us. Love him, train him, teach him all you know and all you can find in books of my clan. Their rune magic is nothing to joke about. Help him find a nice girl that will cherish him and love him with all her heart. Control what he eats. I don't want him to grow up eating some unhealthy food. Promise me all that. I promise you, Kushina-chan, he answered. Good, cause if you will break your promise, I will come back from my grave and no Phoenix healing will save you from my wrath, she said with a sinister smile. I will never break this promise, Minato said. He will grow up as the happiest boy in the whole underworld. Thank you, Minato-kun. I don't have much time left. I will hold Naruto and shower him with my love while I still can. She smiled sadly and whispered to her baby boy. I know you won't remember me. I know you won't remember this. But no, your Ka-chan loves you more than anything, my little maelstrom. And true to her words, Uzumaki Kushina died a few hours later leaving little Naruto alone with his father. Minato tried as he could to play the role of both mother and father but unfortunately with his duties as a younger sibling to Lord Phoenix the time he would like to spend with his son was limited so sometimes he was left to Lady Phoenix who had a son a few years older than Naruto. His name was Riser Phoenix. When Naruto was too young and Riser was also younger than 10 years old they got along fine, but as Riser continued to grow he got under the influence of the purest faction of the Devil's Society. Many elders of the Devil Council didn't like the fact that a pure-blooded devil married a human woman. He didn't even turn her into a devil by taking her as his queen or any other evil piece cause Kushina's pride didn't allow her to reject her Uzumaki origins so Minato had never used his queen piece keeping it for Kushina in case she changed her mind. They could do nothing with this but their distaste was still visible to older devils and even though they didn't goad Riser into bullying Naruto he still did it which caused a quarrel between Minato and his brother. Soon after that Minato moved with Naruto to a house in the outskirts of the Phoenix territory. Naruto, 11 years old. How was your day, son? Asked Minato after he returned from his work in the main house. It was fine, Too-san. Look what I managed to do. He shouted and created a spiral of fire out of his mouth. It's hot and hard to dodge while it's less exhausting than fire that covers the same volume. Cool, did you name it? Minato asked curiously. Sure. I called it Blast Wave Wild Dance. Naruto said with pride. Minato put his hand to his chin. Nice name. I thought about the rotating spiral of the hottest hellfire, maximum destruction. Dad, Naruto deadpanned, it's very lame. You should read more manga and watch more anime with me so you could learn how to name techniques. Really cool. I'll try. Minato laughed nervously. It wasn't that bad, right? Naruto didn't answer but his face said enough. Well, it doesn't matter. He quickly changed the subject. I brought you some great news, Naruto. Ajuka called me and told me that your set of evil pieces will be ready for your birthday. I will finish my work soon and we will leave to the human world for some training so you will get a higher chance to get a mutation piece. They are very rare so you will be very lucky if you get one. That's amazing. Finally we will train together for whole months. Months, right? Naruto asked unsurely. Yeah, we will leave in 2 weeks. There will be a gathering of young devils and their parents in 2 weeks so we will leave after it. Naruto's mood worsened. I don't want to go there, he grumbled. Minato sighed. He understood Naruto's problem. He didn't have much communication with kids his age. Only Riser, his evil pieces, and some servants of the Phoenix clan. Servants treated him fairly but didn't like him cause they were either reincarnated or full-blooded devils that belonged to a low class. In their eyes he, a half-breed, was either lower or equal to them but for some reason was considered a high-class devil. Riser was a purest asshole and his peerage listened to him without second thoughts. Not that Naruto blamed them. So Naruto had a very bad impression about kids of his age and Minato wanted to fix it by bringing Naruto to that meeting. Listen, Naruto, not all devils will dislike you, he tried to explain to his son, some of them are very nice. For example, the House of Gremory is known for treating their servants fairly. The current heiress is a very nice girl. I've met her a couple of times. I'm sure you will easily become friends. There is also Citri heiress who is very nice and smart. Agar's heiress who is nice too. Astaroth heir is very shy but I'm sure you can befriend him. Naruto didn't want to go but his father's kind voice managed to change his mind. Fine, I'll go. But if I won't like it, we're leaving. Minato smiled and agreed instantly. Sure, Naruto-kun. Now, what do you want us to do? Naruto shined. Let's spar and then watch anime. There are some new series I want to check. Ahaha, Minato laughed at his son's antics. Sure, let's go. Naruto didn't notice how these 2 weeks passed and came the time of the so-called youth gathering. Both he and his father have dressed accordingly and arrived at the party that was hosted by the House of Gremory. Hello, my name is Rias Gremory, the heiress of the House of Gremory. Welcome, said a cute 11-year-old girl with red hair and green-blue eyes. Minato looked at his son and saw he was too shy to answer first. Hello, Rias, my name is Minato Phoenix. I am the younger brother of the Lord Phoenix. We saw each other a couple of times while I visited your brother's office. Do you remember me? She mused. Yeah, I think I do. Great, he cheered. And this is my son, Naruto Phoenix. He is of your age. I'm sure you will get along. Hi, my name is Naruto Phoenix, 11 years old, he said shyly. Hey. Rias laughed nervously at Naruto's behavior. What do you like to do? I mostly train, watch anime and read the manga. Rias shined. Really? That's great. I love anime and manga too, she chirped. Actually, I love all Japanese culture. I would love to live in Japan. It's so amazing. When I'll grow older I'll definitely move there. By the way, what anime and manga do you like the most? I've read and watched so many. Let's compare. Rias-sama, while it is great that you found so many common interests with our guest, but as a proper hostess, you must greet all your guests first and enjoy your time second, said a silver-haired maid. Sure, Grafia, Rias agreed, blushing from embarrassment. Sorry, I'll join you in 10 minutes or so. Enjoy the party. Minato and Naruto entered the hall. Who was that maid, father? Naruto asked curiously. Oh, does my little son have his first crush? Minato asked teasingly. What? He blurted furiously, blushing. I don't have any crush. Sure, she is beautiful but I don't have a crush on anyone. He turned from his father and pouted. Ahaha, I'm just teasing you. Minato ruffed his son's hair. Her name is Grafia Lucifuge, maid of the Gremory household. She is a queen and a wife to the current Lucifer, Surzex, formerly Surzex Gremory. He is Rias' brother, by the way. Wow, so Rias is really like a princess. That she is. You can go for her, by the way. Unlike Grafia, she isn't taken, though you will still have to face her brother's anger, older Phoenix joked. Dad. Ahaha, don't worry, I'm just joking. He looked to the side and saw that Lord Phoenix, Lord Bale, and Lord Citri had already arrived. I'll go and join them. You can meet your peers and try to befriend them. Not all of them are bad, trust me. Fine, grumbled Naruto and left where he saw a black-haired girl in glasses. Hi, my name is Naruto Phoenix, he said. My name is Sona Citri, the heiress to the House of Citri, she answered stoically. Oh, cool, you are an heiress too. He didn't know what to talk about with her. Too? You mean like Rias? Thank Lucifer, I'm saved from eternal embarrassment, Naruto thought. Yeah, her. She is a nice person, I think. She loves anime and manga, though I think she is hyperactive. She is not hyperactive that much usually, only when you mention something Japanese. I swear, she would marry someone from Japan if that was her choice, Sona joked. Maybe you are right. She looked obsessed a bit. He paused. And what do you mean by her choice? She is in a marriage contract with Riser Phoenix. They are betrothed to each other since long before their birth, Citri heiress explained. She will have to marry that asshole? Naruto asked incredulously. You don't like Riser? You are from the same household. Why? 'Cause Riser is a douche, Naruto said bitterly. You see, I'm not a pure-blooded devil. My mother was human. When I was little, 5 years old or so, I and Riser got along pretty fine for kids with an age difference. But later he got worse, much worse. He is both sexist and purist, the worst combination in my eyes. Have you heard how Lord Bale disowned his son? Riser laughed louder than anyone. I didn't think you would confess you are not a pure-blooded devil so easily. It's not much of a secret. Don't worry, I won't bully you for that. My dream is to make devil society equal to all devils. But unfortunately, even with our infinitely long lifespan, I won't be able to achieve this dream, I know it. So I have a goal. I want to open a rating game school for all devils. That is at least a small step towards my dream. You have an amazing dream, Sona. Naruto was impressed by the Citri heiress. She was very smart. She already made a goal for her life while he didn't know what to eat the next day. Thanks, unfortunately, my former fiancé didn't think so, she smirked. Former? Yeah, former. Unlike Rias, who is unable to break her contract yet, I managed to do so. I challenged my fiancé to the game of chess. He lost. I am free. Wow, you must be pretty confident in yourself, Naruto praised her. Sure I am. I even managed to win my father sometimes. She smiled smugly and pulled a chessboard from out of nowhere. Would you like to play with me? Me? But I'm not that good. Naruto tried to decline, but Sona looked at him sternly. I insist. There was no room for rejection. You managed not to lose in the first 17 moves. Not bad, she complimented him. Not bad, Naruto said mockingly, you destroyed me. If it makes you feel better, my former fiancé lost faster, she said with a smile. At that moment Rias was finally free from her duty. Oh hey Sona, Naruto, she shouted and ran to them. Hey Rias, how was your practice at being a proper heiress instead of a constant watching anime? Sona teased her friend. I do other things besides watching anime, Rias replied harshly. But that was fine, some guests were pretty nice. Can't say I suffered that much. Well, waiting for a new guest is boring but greeting them is fine, if you say so. So you already played chess as I see. How many moves did you manage to make against Sona before losing? 17, not many, Naruto said hesitantly. 17? Not bad, my record is 25, Rias said proudly. No, that's bad. My dad is a genius, he is considered the smartest phoenix. But unfortunately, I didn't inherit his intelligence, I'm more like my mom, Naruto confessed. Ah, where is your mom, and who is she by the way? Rias asked. Naruto's expression soured. My mom is a filthy human who was considered by fate to be unworthy of living in the House of Phoenix, was finished by Riser. The air instantly turned hotter. Flames surrounded Naruto as his face turned into an angry grimace. Don't you dare to speak about my mom like that, Naruto hissed at his relative. Or what? Smirked Riser. You can't do anything to me, half-breed. Naruto fumed from his powerlessness. He knew Riser was stronger, he knew that Lord Phoenix would be on his son's side as would be the Devil Elders. Riser, stop this instant, Rias said sternly. This is my house and there will be no conflicts during this meeting. If you want to fight someone then go to the streets and find some thugs, they will be more than happy to indulge your desires. Ha, so commanding, my beloved Rias, he brushed her hair. Why do you defend him from me, your fiancé? You should be on my side. I'd sooner marry a dead dog than you, she answered harshly and forcibly moved his hand away from her face. Don't be ridiculous, my dear, he said in an Ionu tone. If you will continue to misbehave, Riser, I will have no choice but to lead you out of my house. There will be no fights between my guests, she finalized. Well, if you say so, he conceded and then turned back to Naruto. Congratulations, you got a girl who defends you, filth. Maybe she can play your mommy? You fucker! Roared Naruto and launched himself at Riser, kicking him in the neck. Riser let him make a hit and then backhanded Naruto in the face. Don't you dare to touch me, you half-human rabid filth. It attracted the attention of all guests, and the situation was in Riser's favor. Minato instantly understood what had happened and rushed to his son. He knew that the evening was over for them. He went to Riser and pulled his ear. If you think you are so smart, think again, he hissed. Next time you will do such a thing I promise you won't leave the hospital for a month, and no tears will help you. After that Minato took his crying son and teleported away from the house. Sure, it was a sign of disrespect to teleport like that, but it was his way to voice his disagreement. All older devils looked at Riser asking for some sort of explanation, so he said, What? Rabid human offspring can't take a joke, nothing special. Riser! Leave my home now! Shouted angry Rias, you won't get away that easy after insulting my friend. Or did you sink that low that you consider joking about his dead mother normal? Riser will stay, said Lord Phoenix, but I will talk to him later. Devil of your stature mustn't act like that, Riser. A month later, in the mountains of the human world, two devils were doing their training. I'll kill that fucker, muttered Naruto angrily while practicing another fire magic of his. Naruto, calm down please. Revenge will bring you nowhere. Minato tried to calm his son, but he knew that his son took his character from Kushina, so that means nobody can calm him once she got fired up. He couldn't calm Kushina, so he knows. Why should I? That asshole insulted my mom and me. Don't you care he insulted us? Naruto shouted angrily. What I want to say is that you shouldn't concentrate on this. Life will punish him, trust me. People with his mentality don't live long, Minato explained calmly. Then I wish that life would punish him with my hands, Naruto said with an evil smile. Well, maybe it will be so, we don't know the future. But what we do know is that unless you get stronger you won't be able to beat Riser. Get stronger, receive your pieces, get yourself a peerage and then fight him. Step by step, Naruto-kun, Naruto visibly calmed. It took Minato a whole month to find the necessary words. Some genius I am, he thought sadly. Though he knew that while he was a prodigy in battle he sucked in common life. Both he and Kushina sucked there. Minato was polite and calm but didn't know how to speak to people. Kushina knew how to speak the right words but she was short-fused, so all those right words were usually wasted on insults. He could only hope that Naruto would be better in that than they were. Suddenly, Minato felt that 10 signatures entered the barrier. Naruto, come here, he commanded sternly, get ready to teleport to the underworld. Naruto's eyes widened in fear. He had never seen his father so serious, and so ready to battle. But it was too late. Another barrier was created. The barrier that blocked teleportation. And then 10 fallen angels appeared. The main one had 10 wings, red eyes, and pointed ears. Hello, Minato Phoenix, we hadn't seen each other since the Great War, he said. Hello, Kokobile, why did you come here? I doubt it's just a friendly visit, Minato asked calmly. They both sounded relaxed but any experienced warrior would see how tense their bodies were. No, it's not just a visit of course. You managed to beat me then, and I wanted a rematch. It was a great battle, one of my favorites. But you hid in the underworld and I couldn't reach you. You want a rematch? Fine, Minato said with a shrug. No, I don't want just a rematch, I also want a prize for it. Let this prize be your son, he declared. What? Now Minato was shocked. What so special was about his son? What was so special that even he didn't know? Why do you want my son? It's not me who wants him, I have orders from above, Kokubile explained. Azazel? I don't believe he gave you that order, Minato countered. Sure he didn't, he is too spineless to do something against devils. I don't work for Azazel anymore, the fallen angel said smugly, I work for myself. Just have some allies that needed to get your son for some reason. And who these allies of yours are? Minato asked. Cow's Brigade. I hear about them for the first time, Minato said. Didn't you just invent that name on spot? No, I didn't, they are just very secretive. Their showtime didn't come yet, he explained. Well, that's interesting, it seems I will have something to report, Minato smiled. Don't worry, I wouldn't tell you anything if you had at least a little chance to escape from here. We'll see about that, Minato said and tried to use his instant short-range teleportation spell but it didn't work. Surprised? Ha! We came prepared for the famous yellow flash, Kokubile taunted. Minato cursed inwardly, his personal teleportation spell was very dangerous despite its drawbacks. Minato was known as the Yellow Flash after the Great War because he invented two new teleportation spells. One allowed him to instantly teleport between markers, the other allowed him to teleport between any place he could sense without markers but at the cost of his stamina. After the Great War Minato could use it about 30 times in a row, after the Civil War Minato could use it about 50 times, now after almost 300 years of peace, he felt that 15, maybe 20 was his maximum but he knew it would be enough. And without this spell, the battle became way harder. The only question was how they managed to create a barrier that disrupts any teleportation spell but that was a question for another time. That doesn't change much, Minato said. Oh, but it does. And Kokubile created a huge spear of holy light. Naruto, hide. Minato commanded to his son as his devil wings appeared on his back and he rose into the air. Naruto tried to run but he was quickly stopped by a fallen angel that appeared in front of him. Naruto blew a stream of the hottest fire he could create but his opponent was faster so he simply dodged. Meanwhile, Minato burned 3 angels to ashes and saw that his son is under attack. Naruto ducked under the first light spear but the second one pierced his left shoulder. Agh! Cried Naruto cause holy energy burned very painfully so the only thing he could think was, is this how I am going to die? But suddenly Minato appeared in front of him, and sliced the angel in half with a burning hand. Then he put his hand to Naruto's wound and purged the holy energy from it so Naruto could heal. Calm down, Naruto, you will be fine, he said and pushed Naruto behind his back. Naruto was at the narrow path that led somewhere far from there. Now go, I'll finish them off. And Naruto ran. Well, let's dance, right? Minato asked and created a sword of concentrated demonic fire. Kokubile smiled at the prospect of a fine battle. Let's. Minato jumped towards one of the angels and made a vertical swing but it was blocked with a light sword. Another fallen tried to attack him from behind but Phoenix created a powerful explosion from his free hand and incinerated the weak fallen. So that's 5 left. 1 with 10 wings, 2 with 8 wings, 2 with 4 wings, Minato thought. Those with 2 pairs are not a problem but with 4 pairs and Kokubile that can be very bothersome. So with a burst of flames, he destroyed tap weaker angels and was left in a 3-way fight with stronger ones. The first one attacked him from behind so Minato ducked under the sword of light. Both Kokubile and the second 8-winged fallen angel attacked him from sides and Minato blocked their attacks with his fire swords. Then he launched himself high in the air to dodge the attack from behind. I need to take down at least one of them, then I will be able to kill the last 2 or at least escape, he thought. Thinking of winning? Kokubile asked, futile. You have already lost. What do you mean? Minato asked. Your son reached the border of the barrier, that just means I have to reach him faster than you will. Minato's eyes widened in horror. And he and 3 fallen flew as fast as they could to Naruto's location. After a small fight, Minato managed to dispose of one of the fallen by burning one of his wings and then throwing him into the mountain. Minato saw his son trying to break through the barrier with no success. Not bad power output for a kid, especially a half-blooded devil, Kokubile complimented, but this ends now. And he started to create a giant spear of light preparing to unleash this attack at Minato. Minato frowned and threw his most powerful attack at the barrier, shattering it. Kokubile threw a giant spear at Naruto. There is only one way, Minato thought, and used his instant teleportation technique appearing beside Naruto, and then both of them were high in the air. The ground exploded from a powerful attack of a cadre-class fallen angel. Minato shielded his son with his body cause he knew that Naruto was not ready to withstand a holy attack of that power yet. Not bad, Minato Phoenix, shouted Kokubile, your teleportation technique is truly incredible. Then both he and his fellow fallen angel attacked Minato, who tried to prepare a teleportation spell so they could escape to the underworld, but Kokubile interrupted them by throwing multiple light spears at Minato, causing him to teleport. Minato landed to the side of the giant burning crater created by Kokubile's spear. Then his eyes widened as he sensed an attack from behind. Someone knew about his delay between teleportations. While Minato's personal teleportation spell was indeed instant, there was a little cooldown between teleports if he had to take someone else with him. A little cooldown, less than a second, but someone knew it and Minato couldn't understand how. He pushed Naruto to the side and got pierced by an ice spear in the stomach. He quickly destroyed it and regenerated. But he couldn't sense who attacked him, and that scared him. Kokobile and his companion landed 10 meters from 2 members of the Phoenix family. "You are truly a dangerous one," the cadre-level fallen angel said. "If you didn't have to protect your son we would have lost. I see it now. But unfortunately for you, you have to." Kokobile pointed to the sky where multiple spears of light were created covering a zone about 500 meters in diameter. And they descended to the ground. Minato knew he had very few ways to save both himself and his son. Multiple magic circles appeared on the ground and fire erupted from them, destroying incoming spears. Then he saw as an 8-winged fallen rushed towards Naruto, so he teleported in front of him and blocked his attack. Unfortunately, it was a ploy so Kokobile could launch his own attack at Naruto. Minato knew his chances to escape are getting lower and lower, so the only thing he could do is to save his son. He teleported to Naruto, touched him, and they both were gone, but unfortunately, Kokobile's spear pierced Minato's leg and sudden pain from holy energy didn't allow Minato to react instantly when another spear was thrown at his son. He created a teleportation circle and shielded Naruto with his body. The spear of holy light pierced Minato's chest and went further into Naruto's stomach. Naruto's mind was in turmoil. At one moment he and his father were simply training while he vented off his anger towards Rias. Then they are attacked by powerful fallen angels. His father is fighting them while he could only watch and try to survive. He tried to run, but there was a barrier which he couldn't destroy. Naruto understood what are really powerful beings in this world. He understood that Rias is just a big fish in a small pond, while there are monsters like Kokobile who created a crater 50 meters deep by his single attack and didn't look winded. Then he was in a real battle between beings of an ultimate class devil level. His father teleported him from attacks while fighting angels, and the next thing he knows is pain. Naruto looked down and saw a spear of light that pierced his stomach. He looked up and saw that spear went from his father's chest. A trickle of blood went from his father's mouth. Naruto's eyes widened in fear of losing the last member of the family, the only person that loved him. He saw as Minato mouthed a single word, "live," and he was gone in the light of a teleportation spell. He saw a purple sky of the underworld and he blacked out. "TCH, you managed to save your brat, not bad," Kokobile said. Minato coughed and removed the spear. His body started to regenerate, but he knew that his reserves weren't big enough to survive this battle. "Wow!" he heard from behind. "Minato-kun is truly very skilled." Minato's eyes widened as he recognized that voice. "Rise of him. That's me." The said man shouted, "You are such a bad boy that you managed to teleport the last Uzumaki kid. I needed his blood, but it can wait." Now Minato knew he was done. There is a big difference between an ultimate class devil and a superclass devil. And Rise of him Levon Lucifer was one of 3 super devils. "Let's get over with it," Minato said, and Kokobile beheaded him with a sword of light. "You failed to complete your mission, Kokobile," said the son of Lucifer, "but the death of Minato-kun will suffice. Try not to fail our organization next time," and he was gone. "He has a heavy case of a holy light poisoning." Whom was he attacked by? An archangel? Damn, where is Minato-sama? Naruto could hear only some voices and he couldn't even recognize what was happening to him. "Where am I?" Naruto opened his eyes and saw the white ceiling of the hospital. "Oh, Naruto-san," he saw a nurse coming. "You are awake." "Yeah," he told her sadly. "You were in a coma for 5 months and your body for some reason stopped producing devil energy. It seems like your body is in a constant state of holy poisoning. We have no idea what could be the cause of it," she said. "Anyway, the doctor has some questions for you. I will call him and tell that you woke up." "Sure," he nodded. The next couple of hours were the hardest for Naruto. He simply couldn't comprehend what was happening to his life. How could it be destroyed so fast? He told the doctor about Kokobile's attack, how his father sacrificed himself so Naruto could live. But the elder of the clan that sat with the doctor told that there is no proof of that, and despite the loss of one of the most powerful members of the clan, it's still not enough to accuse Grigory and have a chance to restart a war. But Naruto thought that the elder simply didn't bother to do anything for him because his mother was a human. After all, his father was the only thing that saved him from being a low-class devil. And then the elder simply told Naruto that because his body stopped producing demonic energy, he lost all his rights as a phoenix. He became a simple human, so he was given a choice. To live as a human in the human world or to commit suicide right now and die as a devil. Naruto didn't want to die, so he agreed to be banished, and that elder teleported him to the human world. And Naruto was sent to Japan, to a place where he with his Japanese European looks would blend in the best. Tokyo is a highly populated city after all, and no devil would find Naruto there. He was forced to change his name to Namikaze Menma and live in a simple orphanage. "Are you sure we did the right thing?" the doctor asked the elder. "I did what I had to do for the clan," the elder answered stoically. "Lord Phoenix wouldn't have the guts to get rid of the pest. He is too attached. It was pure luck that we found him first. Imagine what could have happened if people would know that Phoenix could lose his powers. We would lose our reputation as immortals. People would question the Phoenix tears, and that would create many problems for our economy. I couldn't risk the prosperity of our clan for a life of a single half-breed that lost his powers. I understand, sir, the doctor nodded. Good. Now not you, not your nurse must tell this to anyone. If Lord Phoenix or someone from Minato's peerage would know about this, it will turn bad for all of us. Their emotions would cloud their judgment. I swear that I keep silence, the doctor said. The elder nodded and disappeared in a swirl of fire. A year had passed for one Uzumaki Naruto. A year of a simple life in a simple orphanage. It was both very different and very similar to his life in the underworld. Devil kids acted very like human kids, there were some cruel ones and some kind ones. Orphanage workers didn't differ from his caretakers in hell, so it wasn't that hard for Naruto to get used to his new life. Sure, his life now was way less luxurious than it was when he was the son of the younger brother of the Lord Phoenix, but he didn't mind it. Everything was fine and Naruto was content with his new simple mortal life. Until the orphanage was attacked by some stray devils. Naruto woke up from screams downstairs. Then he heard evil laughter. It wasn't something that should be heard in the orphanage. He knew that the TV wouldn't be that loud and all those sounds were too realistic. He heard that someone was going up the stairs. This someone went too slow for a caretaker, and its steps were too heavy. Naruto picked up a chair and prepared for a fight cause he was sure that whoever it was wasn't friendly. Naruto hid behind the door and waited for it to come in. He heard screams coming from the next room. Then he heard some weird sound he couldn't understand and the screams were gone. Naruto heard the sounds of chewing, and then the door into his room opened. A huge lizard-like creature entered. In its disgusting mouth was the upper half a boy that lived with Naruto in this orphanage, and it chewed him with nasty sounds. A stray devil, Naruto understood. Now he knew that the chair wasn't enough. If this was some human maniac, then Naruto could win, cause despite losing his demonic powers he was still had a devil's body, so he was stronger than an average human. But a stray devil was too much. Where are you? Asked the creature in a mocking voice after it spat out the boy it chewed. Naruto threw the chair at that creature and ran towards the window, but he was too slow. The creature crashed the chair with its hand and then caught Naruto with its tail. You are braver than others, it said. Naruto tisked and tried to make some magic. A phoenix magic circle appeared and a small burst of flames left it. That was the whole amount of magic that Naruto accumulated during this year. Ahahahaha, a phoenix! There! Laughed this horrifying creature. Naruto hung his head in defeat. He knew his life was over. I will enjoy eating you! Roared the stray devil. The monster plunged its claws into Naruto's stomach. Naruto's vision blurred. Am I going to die? His thoughts drifted. Am I dying? His vision almost turned black. In front of his eyes was the image of his wounded father who mouthed him a single word. Live. Naruto's eyes hardened. I don't want to die. I don't want to die. I want to live, he thought, and suddenly his body was set ablaze. Monster's hand was burned and it dropped Naruto. Naruto's wounds healed and he felt demonic power rushing through his veins. Then in a flash of light that burned his attacker, a spear appeared in Naruto's hand and he without a second thought sliced the stray devil in half. I live, he said, heavily breathing. I live. I live. Ah. He laughed. Then he looked at the spear in his hand. A half-breed with a sacred gear. What a joke I am, he thought aloud. While his father missed many things in Naruto's education because he raised Naruto alone, and was usually busy with his duties, he still showed many things to Naruto. And Naruto recognized that spear. A dark blue rod with decorations from golden metal. Holy spear of the setting sun, he said, so that's why I lost my abilities. That day gave a new direction to his life. A devil with a sacred gear. A devil with a Longinus. The devil with the true Longinus. Chapter 2, Welcome to Ko. 5 years later, a 17-year-old blonde boy stood on the roof of the highest building in Ko. So that's Ko, huh? He mused aloud. I sense fallen angels here, so that means that both Citri and Gremory heiresses don't do their job well unless they have some use for those birds. His whisker marks, blonde hair, and black and orange jumpsuit gave him a look of a delinquent. And even though his mother was from Japan, his father's looks made him look like a foreigner. Let's see what the devils here are up to, he said and left via instant teleportation. Friday. You excuse me, are you Issei Hayadu? Said a beautiful girl with black hair and violet eyes shyly. Eh? Sure, yeah, that's me, answered an average-looking brown-haired boy. Never a girl came to him while blushing. Not to mention that this girl was super hot. Issei, will you go out with me? She asked after what looked like gathering courage. Sure. Issei answered, barely hiding his excitement. He got himself a girlfriend. Ha, one step closer to being a harem king. Sunday. A red teleportation circle appeared in the middle of a room. I thought when I would call a devil I would see a red-skinned humanoid with horns, not a schoolgirl, said an old man with a thin beard in a raspy voice. His face was full of wrinkles, and he looked like he would kick the bucket any minute. He was dressed in a white traditional Japanese kimono, and wore wooden geta. I'm sorry for that misconception, the girl answered. My name is Rias Gremory. And I am indeed a devil and a schoolgirl. A pair of bat-like wings appeared on her back as a proof of her claim. Don't worry about, I was just joking. The old man waved his hand. It's not the first time I deal with supernatural. In fact, my first wife was from the supernatural world, or so she claimed. We divorced because she sacrificed my pig to some sort of spirit. It was my favorite pig amongst all other 20. And what did she gain by that? Rias asked curiously. Who gained? The old man asked. Your wife. Rias looked at him weirdly. Ah, my wife, I divorced with her, that's what she gained. What did you think? Immortality and eternal fame? Ha! He laughed. I didn't catch your name, Rias said. Of course you didn't, I didn't tell you it yet. Name's Uzumaki Ashina by the way, he answered, sat in the chair, and pointed to another chair for Rias to sit. After she sat here, she decided to ask, so why did you summon me? Well, I'm an old man, I don't have much time left. But what's worse is that I'm lonely. My granddaughter rarely visits me, the only companion in my lonely life is my cat, Yoru. We lived together for many years already. And there is a girl that cooks for me sometimes, but she rarely comes. Her dishes are amazing, when I will have them I will share with you, I promise. And where is your cat? Rias asked curiously. I don't know, finding food for herself maybe? We ate all her food yesterday, he waved his hand, dismissing her question. Rias nodded understandingly, but a second later she asked in a shock, you ate cat's food? Of course not, what gave you that idea? Ashina asked incredulously. But you just told that. Rias pointed out. I did not, he disagreed firmly. I got summoned by a nut job, Rias sighed inwardly. I can see why his granddaughter doesn't visit him. I want you to comment this book for me. The old man went to the other side of the room to take a book from the table. This provided Rias the chance to look around the room, and she liked this room. It was Gothic styled, much like her own clubroom, but instead of being huge and stately like her clubroom, it was small and cozy. Many bookcases full of different literature, mostly about myths or something supernatural or occult, stood all around the room. There was one window that was hidden behind a semi-transparent white curtain. Another source of light was a small chandelier with candles. In the middle of the room stood 2 armchairs with a small table in between, and there was a single door that led to the corridor, from which you can either exit or go to the kitchen. Overall, the room with its owner gave a weird Lovecraftian vibe, and only the fact that she was a high-class devil that was way stronger than this human calmed Rias down. And here it is. He gave her a book. Alice in Wonderland? She asked. Yeah, I know what this book is too, he answered with sarcasm. So, what do you want me to comment? Rias asked, dismissing his remark. Is it true? He asked, and there was as much curiosity in his eyes as there are in the eyes of a kid. I don't think so. I mean that there is the world without any rules. But every real magic has some rules it has to follow, she said. I'm not talking about the magic here. He snapped. I'm talking about the cat. The cat. I don't know if such cats exist, she answered hesitantly. That's bad. I hope that it's possible to turn my cat into an immortal magical creature, he answered sadly. And why do you want that? Rias asked curiously. I live with my Yoru for almost 40 years, and I'm afraid that she won't last much longer. We could have many years ahead. He pumped his fist in the air. 40 years with the same cat? It's impossible unless the cat is already supernatural, Rias thought, but didn't want to destroy old man's delusions. And did something interesting happen in your life? He asked. Well, I can get a new pawn, she answered. Pawn? Yeah, devils nowadays can turn another people into devils using this. She summoned a pawn piece, modeled after a human game of chess. Oh, so all devils play chess? Ashina asked. Well, they are taught, though not all of them can be considered professionals, Rias answered. Chess, amazing game. I remember how I played with both USSR great champions. Kasparov and Karpov. Yeah, each of them visited Japan once. I managed to win both of them, by the way, he said in a sage-like manner. Really? She asked disbelievingly. Of course. When did I lie to you? Then what about a game? She asked. Sure, I will never back down from a challenge, he said without hesitation. Then Rias felt something. It was Issei's flyer. It was disappointing for a high-class devil not to fulfill the contract, but getting a powerful sacred gear into her peerage was more important. I'm sorry, but it seems my future pawn needs some help, she said with a smile. What age do I live in? A princess goes to save a prince. Disgusting. He shouted disapprovingly. Well, sometimes princesses can also kick some asses. Sorry, I have to go, Rias said and produced another flyer. We can play another time. The next summon is free. Sure, I'll summon you tomorrow then, he nodded. Yeah, see you tomorrow, Rias nodded, and instantly she was gone in the transportation circle. Ashina's posture changed from one of a weak old man to one of a powerful person. Then a woman entered the room. It was hilarious to see you act that way, she seemed irritated, said that woman. It's fun to play around, Ashina answered in a younger voice. So, what is your plan? Wouldn't it be simpler to approach her with no disguise? The woman asked. She is a gremry. They are considered to be kind devils, but they are still devils, so they are very shrewd. If she saw some profit she could get, then she would try to gain it. It's easier to fish some information disguised like a crazy old man. I don't seem like a threat, and she has nothing to gain, he answered. You overthink it, the woman said. Maybe, he shrugged. If I won't get what I want, then I can approach her the usual way. I suppose so, she agreed. And I have an excuse to fool around, he said, laughing. TSK. Man-child, she reprimanded him. Monday. A red teleportation circle appeared in the middle of the room. Ah, Rias, my girl, Ashina greeted her cheerfully. Hello, Ashina-san, she greeted in response. How was your day? Ah, an amazing and wonderful day, he said and sat in his chair. A black cat with golden eyes appeared from under the bookshelves and jumped into his lap. Here is my Yorichan, my amazing cat and eternal partner. Yorichan, greet Rias Gremory. Meow, said the cat. Ah, hello, Yorichan, Rias answered. The situation was kinda surreal. So, how is your future pawn? Ashina asked. Well, he is no more a future pawn. I wanted to approach and recruit him the usual way, but he was killed by a fallen angel today, so I had to resurrect him as a devil without asking him, Rias answered honestly. Wow, you can resurrect people. Can you resurrect me and Yora? We will be forever grateful, he said, and scratched the cat behind the ear. Meow. See, Yora agrees, he said as if it was an important argument. I can unfortunately. Rias tried to find a way to refuse him without angering him. She didn't want to lose a contract after all. There are certain limitations. Pets cannot be reborn via evil pieces. Evil pieces? That's how you call them? He asked. On one hand it fits. On the other hand, it's a bit lame. I would call it the chess pieces from hell. The ultimate devil resurrection. Doesn't it sound way better? No, it doesn't, thought Rias, face-palming inwardly. Well, maybe their creator had a worse fantasy than you do, she said with a smile. That's right. I have an amazing fantasy. I even advised Picasso, you know, he told her proudly. The same way you played with famous chess champions? She asked sarcastically. Yeah, I gave him some advice, sure. Ashina seemingly didn't notice the sarcasm in her words. We were going to play chess yesterday, right? She asked. I hope you are fine with playing right now. Sure, I am fine with that. He went to a bookcase and took a chessboard from it. Then he placed it on a table between chairs where he and Rias were sitting. Black or white? He asked. White, Rias answered. White pieces are considered stronger because you go first, and you have the initiative, and Rias wanted to have all possible advantages against this liar. Fine, I'll play for black then. He set the pieces on the board. E4, Rias said, and made a move. C5, responded Ashina. Sicilian? She asked. Eternal classic, he nodded. It took Ashina 20 moves to win. Rias was shocked. She was pretty sure that an old man was already insane and just spouted lies and delusions, but he managed to win. Sure, she was no Sona, but she was a very capable player. It hurt her pride, but she calmed down and complimented her opponent. You did pretty well, she said with a smile. I see that you are way stronger than I am. I can see that power that you used to win against 2 world chess champions. Ha! You thought I lied? He laughed. I admit I did, Rias nodded, but you proved me wrong, so I apologize about that. You did nothing wrong, he shook his head. Even my own granddaughter doesn't often believe me. That's sad, Rias said. Then she saw as Yora jumped from Ashina's lap, ran to a door and started to scratch it. Meow, the cat meowed. Rias looked at Ashina questionably. Someone is going to come soon, he said. Cats are amazing creatures, don't you think? I sit in front of a devil, and my Yora still seems more supernatural than you. Maybe you should start turning cats into devils? I think people would like it. Yeah, cats are quite popular in human society, Rias nodded with a smile. Then the door was opened and a short black-haired girl entered. She wore a black Chinese dress and black sunglasses. Did you hire another whore to talk to you, you old geezer? She asked rudely, and now she is dressed like a schoolgirl. Are your crazy fetishes again out of control? Rias was pissed. Nobody called her a whore and got away with that. She was no whore, she was a proud heiress of one of the most powerful households of the whole underworld. I am a schoolgirl, and I am not a whore, Rias answered, gritting her teeth. They are younger and younger each year. The girl shook her head. Meanwhile, Yora jumped into the girl's hands and that girl started to pet the cat. My name is Akua. I am this geezer's granddaughter. The girl finally introduced herself. Rias Gremory. Rias bowed slightly. I was hired to spend time with your grandfather. Maybe if you visited him more often, you would have less reasons to complain. I visit him every weekend, Akua deadpanned. What kind of bullshit did he tell you? But today is not a weekend, and you weren't here yesterday, the Gremory heiress thought. Now, Rias was in a very weird state. She thought Ashina was an old man who was almost forgotten by his relatives and was slowly going insane from his loneliness. But now she thought that either he was already insane or he was pranking her. What does he eat? Rias asked. I don't know, Akua shrugged. The fridge is full of food, but for some reason he likes that weapon of mass destruction that our neighbor cooks. In no way is a godsend. Ashina protested. Her food is straight from heaven. Maybe she is. I'm pretty sure the best way for God to kill the Satan is to feed him what Inoue cooked. The seraph of an unintentional murder by food. Rias choked on her laughter from Akua's joke. That food can't be that bad, Rias tried to argue. Even through Akua's sunglasses, the Gremory heiress could feel the deadpan glare of Ashina's granddaughter. Believe in what you want to, Akua said dryly. Akua, did you know that Rias is a devil? I summoned her via this flyer. Ashina told his granddaughter, I told you that supernatural exists, but you didn't believe me. If she is a devil, then I am Santa Claus, Akua answered. And what about this cat, Yoru? Rias asked the girl. Isn't she 40 years old? Meow, the cat meowed. This is his 4th cat, Akua answered. What bullshit did he tell you? Did he tell you about his achievements in chess? Akua quickly asked. Meanwhile, Yora jumped from Akua's hands and came back to Ashina. Yes, Rias nodded. In arts? I suppose, Rias answered hesitantly, thinking about how he inspired Picasso. Math? No. Soon he will tell you how he helped to solve Fermat's last theorem. Eh? Now Rias was surprised. That was a very obvious lie. I feel sorry for you even if you are a whore. Akua looked at Rias with pity. I am not a whore, Rias hissed, but Akua just waved her hand. That's our new generation, Yora. Here I am, an old man who doesn't have much left, and they say all those rude things about me in my presence, he told sadly. The cat meowed in response. Shut up, you old coot. Akua shouted, I'm going to the shop, what should I buy for you? Yora's food ended, he said. Did you eat her food again? She asked suspiciously. No, he answered and lowered his gaze. Look into my eyes, old man, she said and apparently narrowed her eyes even though it couldn't be seen because of her sunglasses. They had a stare contest, but Ashina didn't waver. Fine, I believe you for now, she said and left the room. Don't listen to Akua, she is a skeptic. She believes in science, he said mockingly. Ha! As if her science even know about devils. I will be back in an hour. Was heard Akua's shout, and then the sound of a closing door followed. Rias was torn. She didn't know whom to believe. A probably insane old man or his over-skeptical granddaughter. She decided to follow old man's version. Mostly, he was her contract, after all. Well, we still have about an hour to talk, Rias said with a smile and returned to her seat. Sure, Ashina cheerfully replied, let's speak more about the devils. I want to compare the knowledge from literature to the real information. Okay, Rias nodded, ask away. Another hour was spent in an interesting discussion about devils, their history, and their society. Rias even started to question if the old man was even slightly insane, but decided not to be hasty with her decision. And the payment satisfied her greatly. Old watches made from pure gold. If after their first meeting she returned simply because she interrupted their meeting herself, so she was still bounded by the contract. But now she wanted to return because Ashina was an interesting companion and payment was way higher than it should be. Devils are greedy, after all. Thursday, a red teleportation circle appeared in the middle of the room. Ah, Rias, my girl, Ashina greeted her cheerfully. Hello, Ashina-san, she greeted in response. How was your day? Ah, a nice day. Akua left for her work, so she won't be here for another month. But thankfully, Inoue promised to bring me some of her cooking. I will share with you, don't worry. I'm sure you will like it. Rias remembered what Akua told about that food, but then decided to try it. This food couldn't be that bad, right? I will be happy to try, she said politely. So, how was your devil day? School must be boring. I've heard that one devil went to school and slept with all teachers to have at least small entertainment from that torture. That is called education. Do you do the same? And no, Rias said, disgusted by the mere thought of it. I'm not like that. Ah, your loss, he told her, and how is your pawn? I'm pretty sure he was surprised by his new life. Yes, he is. But he was destined to know about the supernatural world. He doesn't know it yet, but he is this generation's Red Dragon Emperor, Rias said proudly. Ah, one of those sacred gears. Drake, right? Ashina asked. You know about that? Rias asked surprisingly. Yeah, sure. I have slept once with a fallen angel. Or so she told me. Well, she told me that there are such things as sacred gears. I even wielded one myself a long time ago. It was a Longinus, by the way, he told her sagely. Right, she nodded. She felt that he was bullshitting her, but there was a Longinus that changed its owner. Everything he told her didn't sound like truth, but it was possible. So what did your pawn do? You told me he is quite a pervert. Did he use his dragon charms on some innocent girl? Ashina asked. Rias smiled and answered, no, he didn't. I suppose. He befriended some nun, and as you can guess that's prohibited for a devil. The relationship between three biblical factions are not as good as many would want them to be. While there is no war, all three sides are ready for the conflict, and even the smallest transgression can become the cause of said conflict. That's bullshit, he exclaimed. I'm sitting with a devil in the same room. I've slept with a fallen angel. I've befriended a seraph. Gabriel was her name, if I'm not mistaken. Yes, that's right, Gabriel. Beautiful woman, God bless her soul. Rias grimaced from a slight pain. I don't believe him, but he knows that Gabriel is a woman. Arg, how confusing, Rias thought. You are a human, you don't belong to any faction, she answered him. Yeah, you are right, he said and scratched the back of his neck nervously. Then the doorbell rang, meaning that someone wanted to come. It must be Inoue, she must have brought some of her delicious cooking. I will be back soon, Ashina said. Rias heard their voices but couldn't recognize words. 2 minutes later, Ashina returned with 2 plates with some food in them. The food looked like some sort of salad. Here it is, amazing dishes, and he started to eat. It looked disgusting, he ate almost without chewing and slurped. Rias elegantly took a spoon and tried a bit. Her face turned green, then yellow, then blue, then red, then violet, and she finally managed to swallow it. Akua's words didn't do justice to this food. What she did just taste couldn't be described in words. It was the weirdest and the most disgusting thing she ever ate. Tasty, isn't it? Ashina asked, slurping. Yes, it is, Rias nodded with a strained smile, but I'm not hungry now. What? How can you show such a disrespect to the food? Eat while it's still hot, he commanded. Sorry, but I'm full. I ate right before coming here. Rias stood on her own. Fine. The more, the merrier, Ashina said and continued eating. Then he choked. From his facial expression, Rias thought that he would throw up. He coughed, and a piece of that food got on her face. She turned green again and used a napkin to remove it as fast as she could before she would puke. What are the ingredients of this dish? She asked. Want to make your boyfriend happy? Ashina asked. Yeah, exactly, Rias nodded. You got it right. Well, pickles, sour cream, bread, eggs, jerk sheep meat, licorice candies, ketchup and wasabi. Maybe I missed something, but you can always add something of your own, he answered, and Rias wanted to puke again. She wasn't sure that even her devil body would be able to survive this experience. So, what can you tell me about your boyfriend? Ashina asked. I don't like him, but our parents want us to be together, she said in a bitter voice. Arranged marriage, I didn't think that they still exist. So, do you have any ideas how to break your engagement? Well, I still have time, but I think that the only way to break it would be through some sort of challenge like my friend did, she mused. The only one I think about is the rating game, but my peerage is not ready yet. Those pieces of yours, right? So why don't you train them? Ashina asked more seriously. As I said, we still have time. Rias didn't waver. But I will be ready. You are a nice girl, Rias, Ashina told her. I can help you if you want. After all, I've fought supernatural beings before you were even born. Rias didn't believe him, but still answered, I'll keep that in mind. I have the weirdest contract, Rias told her queen after arriving back to the clubroom. Really? And what's so weird about him? Aquino asked, smiling, and then added, just to be sure, it's him, right? Yeah, it's an old man and he is crazy. But he is knowledgeable about supernatural, that's for sure. And through him, I can meet a girl that can help me kill Riser if I were to marry him, Rias added with a smirk. Really? Aquino's smile got slightly wider. Her cooking can kill. Unintentionally. Wow, what a wonderful talent. Do you plan to learn from her? Aquino asked, giggling. That's possible. Rias didn't deny this possibility. Friday. A red teleportation circle appeared in the middle of the room. Rias, my girl, Ashina greeted her cheerfully. Hello, Ashina-san, she greeted in response. How was your day? That kind of greeting became some sort of tradition for them. Pretty nice. Akio will join us today and bring some pizza, he said cheerfully. Well, that will cost you double because I'm here for the two of you, Rias said. It was bullshit, but she wanted to get more from an old man. Sure, it's not a problem, dear, he answered kindly. Rias heard some footsteps in the kitchen. I thought you told me Akio isn't here yet. She isn't, we are alone now. Only I, you, and Yorichan, he confirmed. I swear I've heard footsteps in the kitchen, she said, and small flickers of her family's power of destruction appeared around her fingers. Maybe there are thieves? Of course not, it must be Yoru, Ashina denied. Here, let me show you. He went to the door that led out of the room and opened it. Nobody was there. See? He asked her. Well, maybe you are right, she reluctantly agreed. Ashina turned around and went back to his chair and didn't close the door. Rias still looked into the corridor, and then she saw that Yoru jumped from a closet and went to the kitchen on her hind legs. Okay, it was just Yoru. Rias calmed down and looked at Ashina, who was sitting back into his chair. But then she jerked her head back. Yoru went on her hind legs? Ashina-san, she started. Yes? He asked. Can your cat walk on her hind legs? Rias asked. Of course not. Cats don't walk that way, he told her loudly. I swear I saw Yoru walking like that, Rias said. Nah, that's just impossible, he waved off. I'm sure I saw that. I don't think so, he shook his head. I know my Yoru for many years. She definitely doesn't walk like that. Maybe some yokai impersonated your cat? Rias asked. Hey, I've lived in Kyoto for 20 years. You think I won't be able to differ a cat yokai from a usual cat? One of my son's girlfriends was a cat yokai, a very beautiful woman, he told her dreamily. Really? You didn't tell me you had a son. How do you think I have a granddaughter? Granddaughters don't appear from thin air, you know, he reprimanded her. But I'm sure I saw that. She shouted. Then prove it. You can't? What a pity. Now stop all that useless polemics, he ordered her, and then muttered under his nose, stubborn youngsters. Then came the sound of the front door unlocking. I've brought some pizza, Akio announced as she entered the apartment. Great. Now we can eat, Ashina exclaimed, and then he asked Rias, did you eat before coming here? No, I did not. I have some things I want to do today, so I didn't want to feel heavy, Rias answered. Another client? Akio asked, smirking as she came back from the kitchen with a chair for herself. I am not a whore, Rias answered angrily. I did not say that you are. Akio's smirk grew wider. You said it. I don't like you, Rias said while taking a slice of pizza. The feeling is mutual, devil girl, Akio answered. So now you believe I am a devil? Rias wanted to find a way to tease the annoying girl. Sure, even whores stop coming here after trying to eat Inoue's food. You must be something unnatural, Akio answered with an honest expression on her face. There is nothing wrong with Inoue's food, Ashina tried to protest. Yeah, it may be even better that the cat's food you eat sometimes, Akua said sarcastically. You have no proof of that, he protested. We both know what the truth is, Ashina's granddaughter said and then looked at him meaningfully. We both know. Meow, Yoru jumped into Ashina's lap. Oh, my dear Yoru, do you also want some pizza? He asked, cooing. Meow. He tore off a bit of his slice and gave it to the cat, that happily ate it. Don't feed her with pizza, it's unhealthy, Akua reprimanded him. Let an old man enjoy his last days, he defended himself and tears appeared in the corners of his eyes. Both I and Yoru don't have much time left. That's what you tell us for 10 years already, she muttered. Rias smiled, looking at the weird banter between two family members. So, you told you have something to do today, Rias? What's that? Ashina asked her. Well, one of my servants had his new friend kidnapped by some fallen angels, so we'll have to save her, she answered with a smile. It's that nun I talked about yesterday. Wow, what weird activities you schoolgirls have, Akua commented. Devils, fallen angels, servants, nuns. What's next? Easter Bunny? You can believe or you cannot believe. It's your choice, Rias answered. Hey Rias, show her those evil pieces. Ashina said. Rias summoned her and used rook piece in her palm, and it appeared in a small flash of red light. Pieces like that are called evil pieces. They allow a high-class devil to recruit people into his or her peerage, Rias explained. Wow, you schoolgirls have a nice fantasy. Akua nodded, irritating Rias cause the girl didn't notice how flashy the piece appeared. Don't you have a Santa pieces? I want to be a Santa. No, we don't, Rias said with a slight anger noticeable in her tone. And why do you want to become a Santa? I want to show how easy it is to be a better grandpa than my old geezer, she answered with a mocking smile. Why you brat? He burst with a mock anger, while Akua just laughed. Now Rias noticed something weird. For a moment, when Akua turned her head and Rias could see her eyes, it seemed like Akua's eyes were red. But that must be impossible, right? Akua-san, why do you wear sunglasses here? Rias asked. To look cooler, of course, she answered as if it was obvious. Right, Rias nodded as if that was the answer she expected. Can you please take them off for a second? Rias applied her magic to hypnotize the girl to do as she said. Sure, Akua nodded and showed that she had usual for Japan black-colored eyes and put the sunglasses back. This place is weird, Rias thought. I am a devil. I must see perfectly with this weak illumination. Then why do I keep seeing things? These two are definitely humans, so what's wrong? Maybe a cat? Meow. It seemed like the cat answered her thoughts. You are not the usual cat, right? Rias asked quietly. Meow, Yoru meowed again. Rias shook her head. It was too troublesome. Later that day, so Rias plans to attack the church? A black-haired woman asked. Yeah, Naruto nodded. It's time to act. So she indeed told you what you wanted to know? The woman asked. Yeah, but she keeps quiet about Riser. I suppose that can wait, Naruto answered. We could have simply raided the church. We could, but that would bring questions and a possible investigation. I don't need us to be in the center of attention, not before the youth gathering, he told. You know better, my king, she said. Now let's move out, he commanded. Inside the church, Rias Gremry and her peerage dispatched of all the stray exorcists, and now cornered the leader of the fallen angels group, Rainer. What? How is it possible? Rainer snarled. It was supposed to be a mere twice critical. Oh, but it's not a twice critical, Rias Gremry answered. This is the Red Dragon Emperor's Gauntlet, the boosted gear. What? The fallen angel was surprised, but that does make sense. Why else would Azazel-sama ask us to observe him? But then, any last words? The Gremry heiress asked. Wait till my friends will come, Rainer started, but Rias quickly cut her off. Nobody will come. She showed her 3 bloody feathers and Rainer knew whom these feathers belonged to. She tried to use her Yuma voice to make Issei doubt his choice, but he simply told Rias to kill Rainer, and in a flash of the power of destruction, the fallen angel was gone. Or so Rias and her peerage were made to believe. Your illusions are as great as ever, Kurenai, Naruto praised. Thank you, she said with a smile. Yuhi Kurenai was a beautiful woman at her age of 25. She had a nice figure, untamed black hair and unique red eyes. She was dressed in a black blouse and pants of the same color, tied by a red belt. She was a magician and while she knew a lot of different spells, her forte was illusionary magic. She became one of the last Naruto's peerage members, and she was worth 2 pawns. Her skills with illusions allowed her to make Rias and her peerage believe that they killed Rainer while in truth Naruto used his speed to snatch the fallen angel right before she was obliterated by Rias' attack. Then, Naruto forced Rainer to leave Nun's twilight healing. And all that under Rias' nose. And now that fallen angel was lying bounded on the floor of Naruto's temporary apartment. What do you want, human? Rainer asked angrily. Naruto just laughed. No need to be angry, dear. Your furious snarl takes away all your beauty. And what do I want? That's simple. I know you don't serve Azazel directly, you are a traitor. So I have a question. What does Kokobile plan? What? She was surprised by his knowledge. How do you know all that? Oh, I was tasked by Azazel. He wants to keep an eye on his subordinates. He sees no reason in their needless deaths. And I have a personal interest in Kokobile's machinations, Naruto explained. And what now? I tell you and I will live? She asked. Yeah, simple as that, he nodded. You answer my question truthfully, and I allow you to go through that door. He pointed to the exit. And how will you know that I'm truthful? She asked. That is a very good question, my dear, he smiled, and a spear appeared in his hand along with his demonic power. This spear has a power to see the truth. That's the true Longinus. Rias exclaimed with awe. Indeed it is, Naruto agreed. But you are a devil. How? She was dumbfounded. I am a half-human, he said, so what does Kokabul want to do? And his spear glowed menacingly with the holy energy. I don't know all his plans. Rainer decided to spill everything. He wants to collect Excaliburs and bring them here, in Ko. We were his first vanguard. He told me that Azazel's orders changed from observing Issei Hayato to killing him. Now I know why. He wanted to get rid of this generation's Red Dragon Emperor before he could become a devil. And I only hastened the process. Issei Hayato was under the watchful eye of Rias Gremory for some time. He would become a devil either way. He is a perverted idiot. They are the easiest to please, Naruto said, and his Longinus disappeared along with his demonic presence. How? You are a devil, but you feel like a human. Rainer didn't understand. That's pretty simple actually, Naruto smirked. How do censors find you? They don't search for the core of your power, no. They search for the passive output. That's how I'm doing it. I am half human and half devil, so my passive output is a mix of a human and a devil signature. I use the holy energy of the true Longinus to erase the output of my demonic energy, leaving only human energy that I have to suppress. Sure, I feel stronger than a normal human would feel, but not enough to alert someone. Neat, isn't it? Yes, she nodded. Now shoo, he said and pointed to the door. I don't want to see you anymore. She opened the door and gasped. Azazel-sama, she stuttered. Hello, Rainer, we have to talk, the leader of the fallen angels told her seriously. Azazel-sama, I'm sorry, she tried to apologize. I couldn't care less about your apologies. You disobeyed me. Now boosted gear is in the hands of devils. And you lost 3 subordinates, he told her seriously. But Kokabule, she tried to explain herself. I heard what you told Naruto. And I gave you that order, not Kokabule. Only I had the right to change it. You should have double-checked even if the order was from Cadre. I'm deeply sorry, Azazel-sama. It won't repeat, she pleaded. True, it won't repeat, he nodded. Naruto, would you like to have a fallen angel in your team? Rainer gasped. Her leader was going to give her away. She was going to be a devil's slave. Just a pawn in this devil's peerage. I have no need in subordinates with anger issues, Naruto answered, and my peerage is complete. Even though having another holy light user in a peerage is a good thing, I can't take her. She would be a liability either way. She is weak and she is unreliable. I am not weak. Rainer shouted. You are, and your anger issues acted again, Naruto answered calmly. You are as strong as an average mid-class devil, that's at best. Any member of Gremory's peerage could take you down. Well, except for the pervert and the nun, but they don't count. Both Rias and Aquino are high class in power, they would destroy you in battle. And you have no special skills that would make you worthy enough to overweight your lack of power. You have no self-control, what will lead to mistakes. And you are an egoist, what will lead you to making wrong choices. Where am I wrong? Rainer didn't know what to say. She wanted to shout, but she knew he was right. She remembered the difference between her power and Rias' power, and she didn't want to embarrass herself in front of Azazel. You are right, she whispered. The first step to improving yourself is to accept your fault, Azazel said. That's why you are still a laughable pervert, Naruto joked. Disrespectful brats, Azazel grumbled. A silver teleportation circle appeared in the middle of the room. A blue-haired girl about 19 years old materialized in the middle of that circle. She wore a white female business suit and a white peaked cap. This was Isdeth Lucifuge, the queen of Naruto's peerage. Isdeth-sama, Kurenai greeted. Hey Esti, Naruto waved his hand. Hello, Ice Queen, Azazel bowed slightly. Hello, Kurenai. Hello, beloved. Hello, pervert, Isdeth greeted everyone in response. No respect, Azazel muttered. What brings you here? I thought you still had some things to do in the underworld? Naruto asked. I am still in process, but there is something you would like to know, she told. Riser is rushing the marriage forward. How much time do we have? Naruto asked. Not much. Half a year at most, Isdeth answered. That's good, Naruto nodded. Now Rias will have no choice but to accept our help. And we can ask any price. I thought about that too, Isdeth agreed. By the way, what are you doing in the company of 2 perverted crows? I'm not a pervert. Rainer protested. Sure, that's why you are dressed like a girl from the BDSM dungeon, Isdeth sarcastically replied. Kokabule betrayed Grigori and plans to attack Ko with holy swords, Naruto summarized, stopping possible chat between his queen and Rainer. So, what is the plan? She asked. I don't know, Naruto said. I didn't want to show myself in public before the youth gathering, but it seems we will have to. While I can train Rias without revealing much, Kokabule is another matter. He is strong and he is crafty. He managed to prepare a seal that blocked my father's teleportation spell, and that speaks a lot about him. Even though I should be able to deal with him without using my balance breaker, I'd rather not risk it. Well, we can always go together, she said with a slight blush. No, I'd rather take weaker members of my peerage, Naruto shook his head. That way we will be an unknown despite taking part in 2 major events, and keep most of our abilities in secret. I still wish to fight alongside you again, Naruto's queen insisted. You will have your chance, Naruto smiled. Now that you've finished flirting with each other, we still have some matters to solve. Azazel interrupted them. I'm leaving Rainier in your care. And I will send Vala as a backup if you will have troubles with Kokabile. Why not to make him help us? Naruto asked. And miss the opportunity to see your balance breaker? Not a chance. Azazel laughed and activated the teleportation spell. Hey, take her with you. Naruto shouted, but Azazel just waved him and disappeared. Take care of me, Rainier said nervously. Is death, send her to Shikamaru. It's time for our favorite sloth to have at least some work. Let him be her babysitter, Naruto commanded. Wait, I don't need a babysitter, Rainier tried to protest, but his deathless transportation circle was already activated, and the fallen angel was gone. So what now? Kurenai asked. Now we face Rias, Naruto commanded. Tomorrow, a red teleportation circle appeared in the middle of the room. Ah, Rias, my girl, Ashina greeted her cheerfully. Hello, Ashina-san, she greeted in response. How was your day? Pretty nice, he answered. Did you manage to save your pawn's friend? Yeah, there were no troubles. Now she is my precious bishop, she said with a smile. Ah, then congratulations with a new member of the family, even though she is a nun, Ashina told her. What do you mean? Devoted people are very weird. I knew one nun, she would always pray, talk about some blessings, try to make me a Christian. She was a kind person, but sometimes it was too much, he explained. Well, Asia is indeed a very kind person, Rias agreed, though I can't say she is annoying us with her faith. Good for you. It's better to talk to a skeptic than to a too faithful person. You can prove the skeptic wrong, while the faithful person will just call you a lost soul and try to set you straight, he told with a slight anger in his voice. Well, there are not many people like that, Rias told, only servants of church. Most people who call themselves Christians are not real Christians. That's true. They are just hypocrites that hide behind the cross, Ashina agreed. Well, the church matters aside, did anything interesting happen in your life? She asked. What interesting event could happen in the life of an old man? Nah, nothing, he said and waved his hand. We old people live a boring life till the end and our only joy are our children and grandchildren. Though, Acua is more a pain in the ass than a joy. Yeah, your personalities don't mix, Rias nodded. That's fine, I'm used to it, he waved off. And what about your parents or grandparents? My parents, she paused for a few seconds. We had amazing relations for the most of my childhood, but then that marriage contract, she said with a spite. Ah, yes, you've told. An arranged marriage you don't like, Ashina remembered. Yeah, I hate my fiancé and I have no desire to spend even a few spare seconds with him, let alone my whole life. He is a disgusting pig that doesn't value me as Rias, only as a hot girl from the Gremory family. Yeah, I've seen such people. I pity them, to be honest, they miss the joy of life. Love, mused Ashina, and Rias smiled, agreeing with him. I am of the same opinion, she voiced her agreement. I can help, you know. I know some magic tricks, he said. I'm sure I will be fine, she answered with a smile. She was sure she could get more powerful teachers than this old man, and while she liked to spend her time in the company of a weird but knowledgeable old man, she didn't want to spend too much time with him. Your loss, he wasn't bothered by her rejection, but I still want to say that you should keep your relations with your parents. It is the most important thing you have in your life. And I'm pretty sure they love you. Rias smirked sadly. I'm not so sure about it now. They didn't even try to break the contract. They know whom I will have to marry, and they don't even try. Maybe they want you to solve this problem on your own? He asked. What? Rias was surprised. She didn't think about that. I've thrown some tests to my kids too. Ah, great days. They were so pissed, he smiled melancholically. And what did you do? She asked. Once my son moved to another city, he started to rent a room in one apartment. It took him half a year to realize that I owned that apartment, and was simply siphoning off money from him. Or another situation when I faked the letter from his university. I've written that if he would get at least 1B he will have to pay twice for the semester. And he managed to get all A. Lazy sloth. I've known he could do better, he laughed. Your challenges are kinda weird, she said, but the last one makes sense. Yeah, I know that challenge was great, he nodded with a wide smile. I once locked Acua here with only Inoue's food for a week. She managed to climb out of the window to free herself, and it's the 4th floor. She took climbing as a sport in her university later. That's kinda cruel, Rias thought. Or once I've tasked her to give to my friend, who worked as the headmaster of a school, a package from me. The security guard didn't let her leave cause he thought she was a kid who tried to ditch her lessons. He laughed loudly. Rias smirked at that one. She didn't like Acua, so any jokes about her were worth it. Recently I've got a bird to look after from my friend. Well, I didn't want to look after that bird, so I've sent her to my son who was on his vacation. He was so pissed, Ashina continued to laugh. He complained that it was a burden for him, then he laughed even more. Ah, how funny. Did you get it? A burden. That's not funny, Rias said in a deadpan tone. It was one of the lamest jokes she heard. I think it is, argued Ashina. What do you think, Yoru? That was a lame joke, even for you, answered Yoru in a deep masculine voice. Now Rias was dumbfounded. She did not expect that. and neither did Naruto under Ashina's disguise. They planned all their dialogues with Rias, and that improvisation threw him off. So after he looked at Rias' facial expression, he laughed again and Yoru started to laugh in response. That was one of the weirdest things that had ever happened with Rias, and that's considering that she had found her brother's album with her embarrassing photos. But a weird old man laughing with his own cat is something that she would expect to see in a weird horror movie, not in her life. Stop this instant! She shouted in a commanding voice. Ashina and Yoru tried to stop, but it didn't happen instantly. After 2 minutes they managed to calm down. Ashina's body was instantly set on fire. His grease paint burned away, revealing his real looks. It's nice to meet you without disguise, Rias Gremory, he said in a serious voice. My name is Uzumaki Naruto and I have an offer for you that you can't refuse. Chapter 3, The Deal. My name is Uzumaki Naruto, and I have an offer for you that you can't refuse, he told her in a serious voice. Rias' face changed to a grimace of anger. I didn't finish, Naruto interrupted her. I offered to train you for what's coming. You left the underworld and don't keep an eye on what's going on there. Pretty irresponsible if you asked me, but it doesn't matter. Your dear fiancé rushed your marriage. You have less than 6 months now. You lie, the deal is different. We will have to marry only after I finish my study here, she argued. Yeah, and devils are well known for fulfilling their promises. Riser just said that your study doesn't matter much, and the elders of both clans instantly agreed. Don't believe me? Fine, he pulled out a scroll and gave it to Rias. There was written attestation by Zekrom Bale to a meeting between the House of Phoenix and the House of Gremory. Rias paled after she read it, and confirmed that the signature was not fake. That rose another question like how could this Naruto get this scroll, but she decided to ask it later. Okay, you are right, she did agree with him and then asked some questions of her own. Who are you? What right did you have to be in my territory? Why did you deceive one of the overseers of Ko and the heiress to the House of Gremory? Naruto smiled. She was a devil of pride, they were the most common and the most interesting ones. But Rias impressed him, she managed to keep herself as cool as possible in such a situation. You may not remember me, but we've met once in the underworld. I was known back then as Naruto Phoenix. But since the House of Phoenix declared me dead I took my mother's family name, he answered. That's who I am. A high-class devil, the only son of Minato Phoenix, a devil of the House of Phoenix, and Uzumaki Kushina, a human of the extinct Uzumaki clan. I came to Ko because I was hired to, and I deceived you because it was fun. Her eyebrow twitched. Fun? But of course. He answered with a wide smile. All my peerage members had a lot of fun. Then he turned to the cat and asked in his Ashina voice, Isn't that right, Yoru? Meow, the cat answered and they both laughed again while Rias fumed silently. So what do you say? Do you accept my offer, or you think you can take Riser on your own? He asked mockingly after he and the cat stopped laughing. While I appreciate your desire to help me, I have yet to see why should I agree, Rias answered. You are right, he nodded. I am so used to concealing my powers that I sometimes forget to flaunt them when it is necessary. Wings made of fire appeared on his back, and his whole heavy aura erupted on Rias. She fell on her knees and started to breathe heavily. I am a high-class devil just in name. Power-wise I am an ultimate class, he said, and his power was instantly gone. Rias got up. Do you agree? He asked again. Yes, she nodded. He was very strong, and she would have a higher chance to deal with Riser with his help. Great, he chirped. Now let's talk about the payment. I hope you didn't think I'm going to help you for free? Rias sighed heavily. Sometimes she hated to deal with devils. Later in the Occult Research Club. Welcome, Rias led Naruto into the clubroom. This is where I and my peerage reside. Naruto looked around and nodded approvingly. You have a nice taste. Thank you, Rias smiled. I've called all my peerage members, so soon they will come here. And they sat on the sofa. Yoru, whom Naruto brought with himself, sat on his lap. 5 minutes later, a black-haired girl entered the room. This is my queen, Akino Himejima. Rias introduced her first piece. Akino was a girl of extreme beauty. A perfect figure, black hair tied into a ponytail, enchanting violet eyes, that looked with curiosity, and a gentle smile. Era, did Bucho find herself a boyfriend? She asked and put her hand to her cheek. No. Rias answered firmly. This is Uzumaki Naruto, another high-class devil, and he will help us to prepare to Riser. Akino didn't sense any demonic energy from him, but decided that her king knew better. What a pity, Akino told sadly. He seems like a fine specimen. I'm glad you rate me so high, Akino-san, Naruto said with a smile of his own. He liked that Akino had guts to joke like that. Then he looked at the cat in his lap and asked, Do you like her, Yoru-chan? Meow. That's a cute cat you have, Akino voiced. Can I pet it? Sure, Naruto nodded and gave Yoru to Akino. Akino took the cat and sat on the sofa next to her king. Rias wanted to tell her queen that it wasn't a usual cat, but Naruto mouthed her to wait until all members of her peerage would come. The door opened and 2 people entered. The first was a handsome blonde boy with a mole under his eye. The second was a short, white-haired girl with hazel eyes. Naruto exchanged glances with Yoru and confirmed for himself that she was a Nekashu. Who is he? The girl asked bluntly. His name is Uzumaki Naruto, and he will help us with our training, Rias answered. This is Kaneko Tuju, my rook, and Kibayuto, my knight. You are strong, said Kaneko while Kiba rose his eyebrow because he didn't sense anything special from Naruto. My, your sensory abilities are impressive, young Nico, Naruto answered with a smile while Kaneko stiffened. The tension was destroyed when Issei and Asia entered the clubroom. Hello, Bucho, he shouted. And that's the Red Dragon Emperor of this generation? Naruto thought with a quirk eyebrow, calling him a disappointment would be a praise. You. Issei pointed at Naruto. Who are you to sit here like that? Are you another bad boy that came here for Bucho? Another? Naruto asked. And who was the first one? You, Akino giggled, while Rias and Kaneko smiled slightly. This is my pawn, Issei Hayadu. As I've told you before, he is the current owner of the boosted gear. Rias stopped possible conflict. And this is my bishop, Asia Argento. So a nun and a pervert, Naruto mused aloud. You have quite an interesting peerage. What a cute cat you have, is that yours? Issei asked Naruto as he tried to pet the cat. Don't touch me with your filthy hands, pervert, the cat said in a deep male voice. I can smell that you didn't wash your hands after your last session. Naruto and Rias laughed at the dumbfounded expressions of members of her peerage. Rias was especially happy not to be on the receiving end of this joke, and Issei fell on the floor, humiliated. Never touch me, Kaneko told in her emotionless voice. Why me? Was Issei's thought. After that they went to the forest outside Ko where Naruto wanted to test them. I want you to attack me, he said as he unsealed the bow staff and twirled it in his hands one by one. Asia doesn't take part in this, Akino goes first. My, so bold, she giggled as lightning bolts appeared around her fingers. Naruto stuck the staff into the ground and motioned Akino to attack. A bolt of lightning was launched towards Naruto. He didn't even try to move. A magical circle with the phoenix crest appeared in front of him, and the lightning bolt dissipated. All members of Rias' peerage were in shock. That wasn't bad, Naruto said with a slight smirk, but I'm sure you can do it better. How? Asked shocked Akino. All members of the House of Phoenix possess the power of aerokinesis, Naruto answered. I simply used that ability to create vacuum where lightning cannot exist. This ability is limited, so a more powerful lightning will be able to bypass it. Akino launched away more powerful lightning. Now she was sure the attack would reach him. Naruto created a barrier that took all the power of the attack. Not bad, Priestess of Thunder, but you have yet to make me move. His smirk only widened when he saw how Akino's face twisted in anger. She rose in the sky and shouted as the clouds gathered, You want a stronger attack? Then get it. A huge yellow bolt of lightning struck the ground right where Naruto was standing. A huge cloud of smoke rose from the ground. Akino thought that she managed to get him until she heard his voice. Very good, Naruto shouted as he left the smoke cloud. His clothes were charred, but his skin was intact. That surprised everyone but Rias, who knew he was a phoenix. You managed to destroy my strongest barrier. Even though barriers are not my specialty, I'm not so bad with them. You have developed your bishop traits well. Now let's see how your rook traits are. A huge magical circle appeared under Akino, and a giant pillar of fire erupted from it. Akino fell to the ground. She had burns all over her body. Her clothes were mostly gone. And that was disappointing, Naruto frowned. I have expected more from the strongest member of this peerage. Asia, heal her. That's your test for today. Strongest? Rias was surprised. And why were you so cruel towards her? I wasn't cruel. Not more cruel than Riza would be. You know what he thinks about non-pure-blooded devils, right? Rias nodded. Even though she didn't like to see her queen in such a state, she is potentially the strongest. I know what her other half is. If she were to use that power, your chances would be way higher. Still not enough to win, but higher. I won't force her to use that power, Rias said. And how do you know what she is? Your loss. Naruto didn't like that Rias coddled her peerage too much. His thoughts about how a peerage should operate differed from hers, and he didn't want to try and change her opinion. And how do I know what he is? It's obvious. She's not the first devil-fallen angel hybrid I've met. Rias nodded because Naruto's argument seemed valid. Even if she wanted to know where could he meet another one like Akino. Meanwhile, Asia healed Akino. Now I want to check your knight traits, Naruto said and pulled his staff from the ground. Faster than she could see, he appeared in front of her and thrust his staff forward. Akino managed to avoid it by dodging to the right, but Naruto, without doing any unnecessary motions, turned this thrust in a horizontal swing that hit Akino in ribs. She moaned from pain, and that stopped Naruto's attack. He saw her flushed face with red cheeks and understood what kind of person she was. A masochist. That's enough for now. I've seen what I wanted to see, Naruto said and stopped Akino's test. I thought Akino was just a sadist, Issei muttered. She also has some masochistic tendencies, she just rarely shows them, answered Rias. She was embarrassed because of Akino's behavior, but as a king, she had to take responsibility for all her peerage members. Their weirdest quirks included. Right, Naruto nodded. He had seen worse. He remembered his first meeting with his death, and the scar she left him. Two queens must never meet, Yura said. His death is a different kind of sadist, Naruto argued. She is a battle maniac, not a sexual deviant. Akino, on the other hand, is a sadist that you won't be able to sleep with your butthole unclenched. You sleep with his death, you know better, the cat shrugged. But it's better to be safe than sorry, Naruto added, and Yura smirked. Your queen is a sadist? Rias asked with a surprise in her tone. The worst, Naruto answered with a nod. Now it's your turn, Rias. Are you sure? We may continue, Akino said with a creepy giggle as her eyes twinkled. As I said, I've seen enough, Naruto said, leaving no room for suggestions. He stood in front of Rias and motioned her to attack. A wave of power of destruction was directed his way, but it was too slow to hit him. He stepped away and watched as it destroyed a huge part of the forest. Are your hand-to-hand abilities similar to Akino's? He asked Rias. She looked down in shame and nodded. Kaneko, you are next, Naruto commanded, and Kaneko took her place in front of him. He nodded, and she attacked. She was slow. Most devils would think that it's fine for a rook, but Naruto thought differently. Maybe it was because his rook was the fastest member of his peerage, but mostly it was because he had a very definite opinion that you must cover your weaknesses first and improve your strengths second. He dodged Kaneko's attacks with ease and simply touched her when he saw an opening. It was enough for Kaneko to understand that each touch meant a hit. That's enough, he told, and they stopped. Naruto looked at Yora and saw that she shook her head disapprovingly. He agreed with her. Kaneko was weak for a nekashu. Sure, it was because she didn't use her powers, but it didn't matter. A weakness is a weakness, no matter how you try to justify it. Then a magical circle appeared in his hand and Kaneko was engulfed by a point-blank explosion. This caused cries of worry from the Gremory peerage, but when the smoke dissipated Kaneko was still on her legs that earned a nod of approval from Naruto. Yuto, Naruto called Rias knight. Kiba stood in front of Naruto and prepared his sword. Naruto pulled the staff from the ground and, with amazing speed, thirsted it in Kiba's solar plexus. Kiba coughed and fell on his knees. Rias narrowed her eyes. She wasn't happy with Naruto's cruelty, but she decided to voice her objections later. Naruto told Asia to heal both Kaneko and Kiba simultaneously. Issei, said Boy tensed from Naruto's voice, I want you to boost as much as you can and punch me. That's it? The owner of the boosted gear asked in surprise. That's it, Naruto nodded. Issei ran towards Naruto and punched him with his left hand with the sacred gear activated. Naruto's head just turned to the side slightly. Just as I thought, Naruto said with a slight disappointment in his voice. Feel bad for Vala? Yora asked with amusement. Naruto barked a laugh and shook his head. Let's leave this as a surprise for him. Who is that Vala? Issei asked suspiciously. Don't worry your head, there is too little space in there. Naruto waved his hand. Hey! Issei wanted to protest. Don't dismiss me. And why shouldn't he? Asked Yora as she came closer to Naruto. You are the weakest person here by a wide margin, sans Asia. But she is a healer, so that's fine. Shut up. You are just a cat. Who gave you the right to judge me? Naruto looked at their banter with amusement because he knew what Yora had planned. I'm still stronger than you. Yora dismissed Issei's threat, and that pissed him off. That's it. I challenge you, stupid cat. He pointed at Yora. Are you sure? She asked. You will lose just from my transformation. Transformation? He was surprised. Of course. What? Did you think I'm just a talking cat? She asked with amusement. Yeah, actually, he nodded. Well, let me show how wrong you are, the cat said, and a cloud of smoke erupted from her transformation. As the cloud of smoke started to vanish, a figure of a beautiful young woman with a fit figure became visible from it. She had mocha skin, the same golden eyes as she had in her cat form, and violet hair tied in a ponytail. But the most noticeable thing was that she was naked. Even though the smoke still covered her most private parts, that was more than enough for Issei to be knocked out by a nosebleed. All other members of Rias' peerage except for Asia had slight blushes on their faces. As I said, the woman smiled. Just one transformation spell. I want you to officially meet my first rook, Shihun Yorichi, a nekashu. Naruto introduced her, and she bowed slightly. Also a sexy girl, a cute cat, a lazy exhibitionist, and the fastest member of my peerage. Treat her well. Rias and her group were surprised that a rook was the fastest member of the peerage. They saw how fast Naruto moved, and if this Yorichi was faster than that, it was just ridiculous. Now let's go back to your clubroom, and I'll get Yorichi some clothes, Naruto said. Then he paused and added, can someone pick Issei, please? After getting back to the clubroom, dressing Yorichi, and waking up Issei, all devils present sat on sofas and waited for Naruto to tell them his verdict. Well, you all suck, he told. You are not ready to fight in a raiding game. You had never trained seriously in your whole life. You just took those talents that you have for granted and never developed your real skills. Akino is a skilled magician, but being just a magician is not enough. You developed only your bishop traits, never once touching your rook and knight ones. You are a high-class devil in terms of magical power, but that's not enough. A smart mid-class devil that's more skilled than you in close combat will defeat you if he manages to get close. The same goes for Rias. You rely on your natural abilities and prove them. But what's the point in improving your strengths if your weaknesses are still the same? I can agree with that, Rias said. She didn't want to admit it, but she had to. Kiba, you have a nice speed, but you lack strength and durability. One solid hit, and you are out. You can't improve it like Akino can because you don't have the strength of a rook, so you should use some spells to substitute it. Kiba nodded, agreeing with Naruto. Kaneko, you are the best at terms of realization of your potential. But you lack speed. You have to accept who you are and use those abilities you have rejected to improve. I can say the same about Akino too. Naruto finished with older members of Rias peerage. Asia, you are a healer and your sacred gear allows you to do it well, but like Kiba you'll need to learn some defensive spells. I will, she nodded. Good, Naruto smiled. Now you, Issei. He looked at Issei intently and the boy shivered under Naruto's glare. You need to improve everything. You have lost to Orochi just by looking at her. A tickle of blood went down from Issei's nose as he looked at Naruto's sexy rook. She waved to him with a flirty smirk, and he smiled perversely. Naruto flicked his finger and a little fireball was sent into Issei's head and burned his hair slightly, bringing Issei's attention back to Naruto. You are the weakest member of your peerage. Not just in fighting capabilities, but also because of your personality. The ratio of woman to man is equal to 5 in the supernatural world, which means that most of your opponents will be female, and they won't hesitate to use their beauty to defeat or kill you, Naruto said. But what a death it would be, Issei said dreamily. You won't have a harem if you die, Orochi said, and Issei's head snapped. You won't have a harem if you are weak. Supernatural women are attracted to strength. What chances do you have now? 0. And you'll have to train harder to become stronger. YOSH. I will. Issei's mood instantly changed, and he became overmotivated. Naruto smiled and nodded to Orochi approvingly. She smiled in response. Perverts are the easiest to please, Naruto whispered to Rias, and she giggled slightly. And what about your peerage? Akino asked that everyone wanted to ask. Are they strong? You'll see soon, Naruto said with a smile that left Akino unsatisfied and then got up from the sofa. Well, I gave each of you a general direction, so improve yourselves that way. More concrete training regimes will be presented next time. Both he and Orochi went in the center of the room. She circled her arm around his waist and a teleportation circle appeared under them. See you next weekend. Ja-ne, and they were gone. What an interesting specimen, Akino giggled. Are you sure you are not interested, Rias? Rias frowned at her queen's question. No, he is already married. That's even better. Akino's giggle intensified. Pervert, Kaneko said. Screw you, pretty boy. Issei wailed. Rias smiled, looking at her weird little family. Everything will be fine, she thought. I won't lose you to Riser, never. Meanwhile in the underworld, a teleportation circle appeared in the middle of a huge hall, where Naruto and Orochi appeared. His death waited them here. She was now dressed in a white military uniform with a peaked hat. Hello, beloved, she said. Hi, Essie. Naruto went close to her, and they kissed. How did Rias and her team show themselves? She asked as all three of them went into another room. They are bad, all of them. Rias and Akino are long-range fighters. Kiba is decent for a classical knight but will fail against a warrior. Kaneko refuses to use her Nekasha powers, and Akino refuses to use her fallen angel powers. Asia is a decent healer with no other powers, and the Red Dragon Emperor is just a major disappointment. Naruto answered honestly. They have potential, but that's all they have. I'll send a full report to Shikamaru later, let him think about their training. His death shook her head in disappointment. By the way, he called today. You blocked him, so I had to listen to his nagging. Are you sure he won't refuse? Ha! He lives in the Maldives for 2 years and does almost nothing while I pay for him. If he says something wrong, I'll rent the next house for his mom, Naruto answered. All three of them laughed at it. Zephador asked my hand in marriage again. His death informed her husband, who just smirked. He will be so pissed when he will learn that the one and only Death Lucifuge is married to a half-breed. Naruto smiled at this prospect. That he will, Death nodded. I finished developing my new ability this morning. Congratulations in order, Naruto said with a proud smile. You owe me a spar, now we will see who is the strongest, she requested. I suppose so, Naruto agreed, but we need to find a place where nobody will find us. That's true. But I will find something. They entered the room where 5 people sat. The first one was Akua. Now she didn't wear her sunglasses and her red slitted eyes were visible to everyone, indicating her vampire origins. She was one of Naruto's knights. The second one was a black-haired woman dressed in a white dress. She had draconic yellow slitted eyes and a pair of horns. A single strand of her hair fell onto her face. Her name was Albedo. She was a daughter of a dragon and a fallen angel. She was Naruto's pawn and was worth 2 usual and 2 mutated pieces. The third one was a teen in a white battle kimono with brown pants. He had long black hair and weird white eyes that were the sign of Amaterasu's blessing given to his former clan. His name was Hyuga Niji. He was Naruto's rook, and the first member of his peerage. The fourth one was another woman. She wore a tight black battle suit. She had light brown hair and blue eyes. Her name was Guinevere. She was the descendant of King Arthur's wife. She was the owner of a lesser holy sword Glamdring that while didn't have any special abilities like the Excalibur shards had but was equal to them in holy power. She was also in possession of the strongest Excalibur shard Excalibur ruler. Guinevere was Naruto's second knight. The fifth person was a woman with dark brown hair and brown eyes. She wore a white military suit similar to the one that Death wore. Her name was Bambietta Basterbine, a former member of the German clan of magicians called Quincy, and Naruto's second bishop. Hello, everyone, Naruto waved his hand. We're back. Naruto's rook shouted. Hi, geezer. Hi, Yoru, Akua joked. Welcome home, Naruto-kun, Orochi, Albedo said in a sweet voice. Naruto-sama, Orochi-sama. Niji bowed slightly, and both Naruto and Orochi rolled his eyes. Welcome, Guinevere greeted in a strict tone. Yo, Bambietta waved. Now that we all are gathered here, let's get to business, Naruto started. We have a new mission, nothing hard but all our skills will be needed. An ultimate class devil from the old Satan's faction appeared in Norway. He managed to get some monsters under his control. Hydra, Minotaur and Chimera. He and his followers slaughtered a village and made it their base. Our goal is to eliminate them all. Just one ultimate class? Death sighed in disappointment. He is a member of the House of Belial, so he must be an interesting one, and he is all yours, Naruto assured his queen, and a creepy smile grew on her face. Albedo, Guinevere, your task is to kill those monsters. I will eliminate the devils in the village. Bambietta, Orochi, you will have to kill all devils that will attempt to run away. Bambi takes the sky, Yora takes the ground. Aqua, your task is the most important. He paused. This task is directly from Odin himself. That devil managed to steal an artifact, the key to Gleipnir, the chain that bounds Fenrir. You must steal the key as fast as possible. The problem is that they have an alert system that will teleport them all back to their HQ. Niji, your task is also important. You must get a notice to the center of their system and get the location of their base. Sounds simple, Death said. It does, Naruto nodded. The time limit is about 15 minutes. Norway is Odin's territory, so he will be able to block their teleportation for that long. That's the worst case, sure, but the faster we do it, the better. We leave in 5 minutes, with Rias. So what about that Naruto? Akino asked Rias after all other members of their peerage left. What about him? Rias didn't understand her queen's question. How did you find him? He found me, Rias answered. Remember I told you about a bat's hit crazy old man that became my client? That was Naruto. He pretended to be my client because it was fun. Kinda convenient, don't you think? Akino didn't like that her best friend was deceived. He told that he offered me his help simply because of what Riser did, so yeah, very convenient, Rias agreed. Interesting, Akino said. And why did he offer you help? He is a mercenary, and he turned his peerage into a small unit, Rias answered. His team is pretty famous in certain circles. Odin, Zeus, Azazel, for Satans, even Michael. He successfully worked for many important supernatural figures. How is that they are not well known? Because they don't sell their services openly, they work with their client base from what I managed to understand, Rias answered. So he does have a complete peerage? He does, Rias nodded. And he is married, Akino said, remembering what Rias said earlier. To his queen, to be precise, Rias said. So that hot rook of his is a lover? Akino smiled. What a naughty boy. Rias stuttered with a slight embarrassment. I didn't ask. He isn't helping us for free, right? No, he doesn't, Rias nodded. A favor from my brother. Political support of the House of Gremory and information on Sona's peerage. Clever, Akino said. It will be entertaining to watch him in the future. Don't tell me you are interested, Rias asked in surprise. No need for your jealousy. And no, I'm not. Akino shook her head negatively but then decided to tease Rias even more, leaned against her back and whispered in her ear. Unless you'll go for him too. Akino, Norway. A huge teleportation circle with the crest of the House of Phoenix appeared in the middle of the forest. The night was dark because the moon was hidden behind the clouds. You know what to do, Naruto said, and his team scattered, and he went strictly towards the village. Naruto watched as his team took their positions. Akua and Niji used their stealth to move towards their goal locations. Death and Bambietta flew into the sky. Guinevere and Albedo moved towards the location where monsters were supposed to be. Do we start the party? Orochi asked. Let's, Naruto nodded and the true Longinus appeared in his hands. Devils felt the presence of the holy energy close to the village, and were preparing to fight. Naruto pointed the spear towards the center of the village. The tip of the spear started to glow as Naruto activated one of its abilities, Holy Projection, and the world exploded into white. Veritor Belial was a proud devil. He was proud of his lineage, he was proud of his house, and he was proud of his power. But he wasn't proud of the current Devil's Society. He felt that they could destroy the fallen angels and conquer heaven with ease considering their rising numbers. So when a member of the old Satan's faction approached him with similar ideas, he agreed. Unfortunately, he still had to pass the test to prove his loyalty, and he almost passed it. He managed to steal the key to the Gleipnir, so the only thing left was to free Fenrir. And then he felt a huge explosion of holy power. Who dares to attack me? He shouted as he flew out of the main building and looked around only to see that a part of the village was turned into ruins. Hegel sprung. He heard a female voice and looked up to the source of the voice only to see a giant sphere of ice falling down onto him. He tried to create multiple barriers to protect himself, but he didn't have enough time, so he was crushed to the ground. When he got out, he saw a blue-haired woman floating above him. And she had devil wings. So the anti-Satan faction found me, huh? He asked and got nothing in response, and they sent a devil to kill me. What is your name, girl? Death, she answered. You seem strong, he complimented. Why don't you join us? The old Satan's faction is stronger than yours. Unfortunately, my loyalty is not for sale. Besides, you seem weak. My king is way stronger, she told him. Your king? So you must be a queen, he deducted. You are correct, Death nodded. "Ha, I know your type, beautiful girls with wizard's abilities," he told her arrogantly. "Unfortunately for you, your king misjudged. Because all your magical abilities are worthless. Are you going to talk or are you going to fight?" "I'm kinda bored," she said and yawned mockingly. "You dare to make fun of me?" He roared as multiple magical circles appeared in front of his hand. A powerful beam of demonic energy was fired, and it looked like his death was engulfed by it. "Is that all?" he heard from the behind. He turned around and saw his death, unharmed. "How? I made your magical abilities worthless." He didn't understand. "Your mistake was thinking that I'm a wizard type," she answered and pulled out her rapier. "I'm not a wizard type, I'm an all-rounder." And with a quick burst of speed, she was already behind him. His hand fell off. "Impossible," he said in a shock, "simply impossible. And another mistake of yours was to think that your power would be enough to make mine worthless for a long time," she said, and his whole body was covered in ice except for his head. Even though her enemy wasn't that strong, fighting without her magical powers was hard. So she cut off his arm to make him drop his spell. "I think that the four Satans will be happy to talk to you, don't you think so?" His rage bubbled, and he made her ice cage worthless. The cage shattered and he freed himself. "You won't get away from me after this," he snarled, and multiple magical circles appeared around him. She just smiled and said, "I don't intend to." Multiple beams were launched, and his death answered with her own attack. Weiss Schnabel. The attacks connected and multiple explosions occurred. "I was promised a nice battle, but all I see is a disappointment," she said, shaking her head. "You don't even deserve to live." "You," he roared, both from anger and his own inability to even harm this devil in front of him. "Your demonic powers are impressive, but your combat skills suck. I see why you are considered an ultimate-class devil." Her eyes hardened. "But for me, you are just a weakling." Once again, she disappeared faster than his eyes could track, and another hand of his fell off. "I remember how Serorg was laughed at by the likes of you, fools that relied only on their family powers. And yet he can go faster than I did while you can't even see me. Pathetic. But you know what?" She smiled again, and her smile made chills go down his spine. "I feel kinda bored, and I still have some time before our mission is over. I think I will interrogate you here and now." Naruto stood in the middle of the firestorm he created. Another devil fell to the ground under the laughter of Bambietta. This one had his chest exploded. "I have a weird choice of women," Naruto said, and launched another blast of holy light that destroyed a couple of low-class devils. Yoruichi appeared next to him in a burst of speed. "All devils in the area are dead," she said. "I sensed that Estetha's opponent's magic reserves dropped," Naruto noted. "It seems like he wasn't much." "What did you expect from a devil that never worked for anything?" she asked. "You are right," he nodded. Then a powerful explosion of demonic energy happened in the forest. They looked to the side and saw 100-headed Hydra shooting poison all around. They allowed Hydra to grow that strong? Yoruichi was surprised. "Something must have happened here to boost Hydra's growth," Naruto concluded. "I can't call myself an expert, but Hydras don't grow that fast without an outside influence." With Guinevere and Albedo. Albedo took a deep breath and blew a wall of black and golden flames towards the Hydra. Guinevere made a swing with Glandring and a crescent of holy energy cut in the body of Hydra. "This thing is too strong for us," Guinevere concluded after she saw that Hydra healed from all the damage. "I think we should call Naruto-kun for help," Albedo agreed. Hydra blew a stream of poisonous saliva into Albedo, but she changed her devil wing to draconic and shielded herself. Suddenly, a magical circle with phoenix crest appeared under the Hydra and a pillar of fire erupted from it, engulfing the whole beast. "You seem to have problems," Naruto said after he appeared with Yoruichi. "We managed to kill Chimera and Minotaur quickly." Guinevere pointed to a Minotaur's corpse that was sliced in half and Chimera's dead body with multiple wounds from holy light spears, but this thing started to grow stronger and stronger very fast. "It's already ultimate class in power." "Its power is still growing," Yoruichi said. "I sense it. In a few minutes it will go beyond the ultimate class." "I see." Naruto nodded. "Albedo, permission to promote." "Thank you, Naruto-kun." She bowed slightly. "Promotion, Queen." Her power rose to the ultimate class. "Guinevere, prepare Excalibur ruler," he commanded. "Right now it is impossible to subdue this monster, but if we were to weaken it that should be possible." Hydra roared and prepared to attack 4 devils. "Now," Naruto said. Multiple magical circles appeared around him and powerful jets of fire stroked the Hydra. With a blinding speed, Yoruichi destroyed head after head of the monster. Albedo created dozens of light spears and threw them, piercing heads of Hydra. Guinevere unsealed Excalibur ruler from a special dimension and using her knight's speed propelled towards the monster. With a quick thrust, she pierced one of its heads and the monster calmed down. "Guinevere, I need you to keep this Hydra under control until I can seal it," Naruto said, and she nodded. Naruto clapped his hands and a huge magical circle appeared under the monster. Different runes were being engraved into that circle, and a few minutes later the monster was gone into a pocket dimension in a flash of light. After Naruto returned to the village, he saw that Odin was there. "Hello, Odin-sama," Naruto greeted with a bow. "Ah, hello, Naruto-kun, no need to be so formal," Odin waved off. "Fine, old perv," Naruto said with a small smile. Then Odin's face changed to a more serious one. "So the key is gone?" Akua, who was sitting on the broken wall of the building, nodded. "That's right. When I came into the room, All the guards were already dead. I would estimate that they died half an hour before we arrived. Whoever killed them was way more powerful than we are, to trick their alert system and teleport despite your magic. Nothing short of impressive. Naruto frowned. This is bad. It's not just our first failed mission, but also a major threat to the whole supernatural world. Don't worry so much, Naruto-kun, Odin said. While Fenrir is indeed one of the strongest beings in the world, Thor and I are able to subdue it. Not to mention that Fenrir's prison is heavily guarded. It will be hard to even get close to him. Hordes of Valkyries will stop or slow down whoever the thief is. And your failure is not your fault. I should have called earlier. But still, for someone to have Fenrir under his control, this is dangerous, Naruto said. That's true, but don't let it bother you that much. You are still young, and with such a beauty as your wife is, you should be busy with other things. He giggled perversely. Naruto looked at his wife, who poked an unresponding body of Varador with her rapier. Right, Naruto nodded. What? She asked. I didn't try that much. Naruto answered nothing and turned to Odin. What now? Go home, kid. This is my problem now, Odin answered. I didn't want to provoke whoever was behind it by my personal intervention, but now it's not an option, and I'm still satisfied with your job. Naruto nodded. He knew that the key was stolen even before he arrived, but it was still disappointing. I've got the coordinates of the place where the evacuation circle lead, Neji said after he jumped from out of nowhere. Good, I'm sure the 4 Satans will be happy to hear it. Naruto smiled slightly that at least one part of their task was completed. Now let's go home. He created a magical circle and his whole team stepped into it. Bye, old pervert. Naruto saluted, and they were gone under Odin's laughter. In the HQ of the old Satan's faction, we have lost the mutated Hydra, Master. A man bowed in front of the man on the throne. We have nothing to worry about. The experiment was a success. After all, the man's slitted eyes closed in satisfaction. But I'm curious who and how managed to defeat it. Maybe we should try something more to bait them, HM? A giant yellow eye with a slit-like pupil opened behind him. Yes, that's exactly what I am going to do. Chapter 4, In the Lair of the Snake. Cerzex Lucifer and Ajuka Beelzebub stood in front of Naruto, who called them to the Lucifuge Castle to present the results of his latest mission. While it would be easy for Naruto to get Ajuka because they had a long partnership, Cerzex is another case. Only after some calls from both Ajuka and Odin, he managed to come. Some would call it arrogance, but those who knew Cerzek's queen would easily understand why it was so hard to make him leave his job. I present you a modified Hydra, Naruto said and pointed to the giant creature that slept behind him. It is capable of continuous evolving with limits unknown. It grew from a simple monster that was as strong as an average mid-class devil to an ultimate class being in a few minutes. We managed to defeat it faster than it could grow to a level of a Satan class being, but it was more than disturbing. And the old Satan's faction has someone who created this, Cerzex muttered. I think that this someone is capable of more, Naruto said. It wasn't his idea, just the result of the analysis of the mission made by his peerage. It makes sense, Ajuka nodded. They wouldn't give away this monster to a recruit unless they had more of them. That's a scary thought, Cerzex said. The ability to create ultimate class monsters or maybe even stronger monsters is terrifying. And even more terrifying is the fact that devils are so easy to recruit, Naruto said. That's true, Lucifer nodded sadly. Imagine if a devil would be able to receive that power-up, Ajuka said. Many young devils will join the old Satan's faction for the sake of power. We would lose, and then they will restart the Great War. All our efforts will be wasted. Naruto, Cerzex said, what else did you manage to get from that mission? My rook managed to decipher the teleportation circle that was prepared for their evacuation. We know the coordinates of their possible base, he answered. How strong would you rate your peerage? I is Death, Yorichi and Akua are ultimate class devils. Albedo is 1-2, if she promotes. Guinevere is useful because of her holy swords. Promoted Kurenai, Bambietta and Niji are strong for high class, but the difference between a high class devil and an ultimate class 1 is big. Inoue is a healer, but she will be a liability in a fight with 2 strong opponents. So 5, maybe 6, members of my peerage can be used, me included. I suppose that should be enough, Cerzex nodded. As the Satan Lucifer, I hire you to investigate it and eliminate the culprit. I want you to do it as fast as you can. Naruto didn't answer for a few seconds. Lucifer-sama, I have a contract with your sister, the investigation may take time. I don't want to break any contract of mine, he finished. What contract? Lucifer asked with his eyes narrowed. I am to train her. You know that Riser hastened the marriage process, so I offered her training, Naruto answered. Ah, Cerzex smiled, that's good to hear. To be honest, I thought about sending a member of my peerage to help her. But you will have a few members of your peerage unoccupied. Why not use them? Niji to help them with close combat, Inoue to help them with barriers, and Kurenai to keep them under control. That may work, Naruto nodded to himself. Fine, we will do that. Great. Chirped Lucifer, now my Riatan will be safe and happy. Naruto quirked his eyebrow and exchanged glances with Ajuka. Sure, she will. I have to plan the operation and notify my peerage members as well as your sister. Sure, we will go, Ajuka said, and both Satans were gone in the teleportation circle. In Lucifer's office. He is a nice operative, Cerzex said. That he is. I didn't misjudge him when we met 5 years ago, Ajuka nodded. But to think that a devil would wield the true Longinus, Lucifer mused. I wonder what Michael would say. Naruto did some missions for Michael, Ajuka said, surprising Crimson Satan. Really? Yeah, though I'm not sure what exactly did he do for him. But it was a one-time job. He did many jobs for various supernatural beings. He doesn't distribute vouchers anymore. But not so long ago, one little girl managed to find his leaflet and tasked him to bring her all types of sweets. Naruto says that it was the weirdest and the hardest task he had, Ajuka chuckled. Surzek's sweat dropped. That's unusual. Very true. But that still doesn't explain how is he so hidden that almost nobody from the underworld knows about him, Surzek asked. Zikram Bale took a liking to his queen, Death, Ajuka explained. Turned out that any kid from their marriage will most likely have an immunity to the light energy. They were sort of forced to marry. Well, Naruto didn't want to be hasty about it, but his death was ecstatic. Naruto does love her, but she is too persistent in her advances. That explains it, Surzek nodded. Being in favor of Zikram Bale is nothing to joke about. Yeah, it gives him some leeway. But he has a good head, he won't be corrupted easily. I'm more interested in how will proceed his meeting with the House of Phoenix. I don't know, he is quite unpredictable. All we can do is wait and see. Yeah, wait and see. Ko Academy. A red teleportation circle appeared in the middle of the room of the Occult Research Club building. Hello, Rias. Naruto stepped out of the circle. Hello, Naruto-san, Rias greeted her guest. So, I suppose it's time to start your training today, he said. My peerage members still have their classes. We'll have to wait. Oh yeah, school, Naruto nodded. Why don't you just ditch it? Rias was surprised by that question. Our education is very important. I can't just do that. Meh, never saw any point in schooling, Naruto shrugged. While some additional knowledge will never be excessive, it's too bothersome to go to the school where you'll have to learn not just things you have to know but also a lot of useless stuff. You can't be your own manager. I suppose your claim has some merit. Rias didn't want to argue with Naruto even though she didn't think he was completely right. Just don't let Sona hear about it. Well, I highly doubt that she will manage to force me to study, Naruto smirked. But I will comply just to be safe. Wise choice. So, did you train anything by yourself? Naruto asked. Well, Rias' eyes didn't meet with Naruto's. I asked Kaneko to train me and Akino in hand-to-hand combat. Though, we had only 2 sessions. I can't say I improved much. Yuto didn't train, he has too many contracts, and he had some things he had to do for his study. Ise say it's hard to make him do something unless he has some perverted reward. Asia read some medical books to improve her healing abilities. Kaneko always trains, so she must be fine. And that's exactly why I told you that school is useless. Both you and Akino spend too much time on it. Yuto could train instead of doing contracts and studying. Naruto said you are not in position to play around anymore. You have to work hard and improve as quick as you can. Unless you want to be married to Riser, of course. Rias closed her eyes. She agreed with Naruto, but that daily routine distracted her from the inevitable fight. She didn't even want to think about Riser, but Naruto was forcing her to face the problem. She was grateful, but it wasn't pleasant. I agree, she nodded. I will try to change our schedule. That's a good start. And what about your last peerage member? Naruto asked. What? Rias was surprised. How do you know about him? You have a Nekasha in your peerage, you know they are good censors, Naruto explained. So a vampire, huh? Yes, Rias nodded, but he is too weak to control his powers. Really? Naruto quirked an eyebrow. You know that vampires have 3 ways to grow stronger? The first is simply to wait. The older the vampire is, the stronger he is. The second one is to train your ass off. It's an obvious way. The third one is to drink blood of a stronger being. You can make your vampire drink your blood, and he will grow stronger. He was abused by his kind. You know how they treat half-breeds. He can't accept that side of him yet, Rias tried to explain. You coddle with them too much. Naruto was disappointed. You will never win Riser if you won't help your peerage members face their problems. I can't just force them. Rias tried to defend herself. We are family. You don't treat your family like that. Now Naruto knew where the problem was. And since Rias was a devil of pride, he knew there was no chance to fix it. Fine, I'll work with what I can. He accepted her position. Later, Naruto stood in front of whole Rias peerage on their training ground. Today I want to see your teamwork, Naruto said. Let me be clear, none of you will stand a chance against Riser as you are now. It's a simple truth. Let's suppose that you defeated Riser's peerage without losses. Try to defeat me now. Instantly, Akino launched a blast of lightning into him, but Naruto moved to the side, avoiding the attack. Nice shot. It would have been better if you didn't miss. You dodged, Akino deadpanned. Details he dismissed. Yuto, Kaneko, Ise, tried to force him to stay still so I and Akino could destroy him with our magical attacks. Asia, stat behind and heal injured, Rias commanded. Nice tactics, Naruto said, but they are too obvious. Not to mention that they won't work. Naruto ducked under Kiba's sword attack. Then he caught Issei's fist, and used Issei's body to stop Kaneko from attacking. Kiba tried to strike him from behind, but Naruto threw Issei into Kiba, and they collided and flew 10 meters backwards. Kaneko used an opening to attack Naruto, but he easily dodged her hit that created a crater in the ground. But he didn't jump away from her, no, he moved in such a way that Kaneko would be in a way of possible Rias or Akino's attack. As you see, your tactics are useless, he said. I can use your own peerage member as a shield. And now I have to face 3 opponents instead of 5. Rias cursed under her breath. Kaneko, fall back. Seeing that her rook jumped away, both Rias and Akino launched their most powerful attacks. Being hit by such a strong blast of the famous power of destruction doesn't sound good to me, even if it won't leave any lasting damage, Naruto thought, and used the compressed air blast to destroy the lightning attack and then simply dodged to the side, escaping Rias' attack. I've told you, Rias, your attacks are too slow. Either invent smarter ways to use it or try to improve the speed of your attack, he said. Yeah, I remember, Rias said. Kiba attacked Naruto again at a high speed, but Naruto easily dodged all his attacks. Then Kaneko jumped to hit him, but Naruto caught her first with ease. Kiba used this opportunity to slash Naruto. Not possible, Rias murmured as Naruto stopped Kiba's sword by catching it between 2 fingers. You are good, but you are far from being someone that can hurt me, Naruto said, and then his form engulfed in fire. A powerful explosion of fire destroyed part of the training ground, and both Kiba and Kaneko were thrown to the sides with multiple burns. Naruto stood in the middle of a firestorm with his wings on the show. As you see, I'm pretty good at substituting riser. So let's start, he said, and launched a huge ball of fire at 2 beauties. Akino used ice magic to stop his attack. Nice, but is that enough? Naruto asked as he launched a wind blast that cut through ice easily. Akino received a huge cut across her chest. Asia, who had already healed Kiba and Kaneko, tried to go and help Akino, but a wave of fire separated them. Not so fast, Naruto said. Hey! She can die! Issei shouted. Not with her strength gained from the rook piece. Boost boost boost. Issei gathered as much strength as he could and tried to attack Naruto, but he simply created an explosion that engulfed the Red Dragon Emperor, and with multiple burns he went unconscious. Kaneko and Kiba tried to attack Naruto again. Naruto launched many wind blades into them. Kiba managed to dodge, but Kaneko's speed was not enough, and she received many deep cuts, much like Akino. Kiba got close to Naruto, but he simply set himself afire, burning Kiba and making him unable to continue to fight. Do you see the problem? Naruto asked. What problem? Rias asked, gritting her teeth from seeing her peerage in such terrible state. You have no teamwork. Naruto pointed at Rias and Asia, who was hiding behind her. That is the best working thing you invented. A healer hiding behind a strong mage. All fire disappeared. The test is over. You have interesting peerage members. All of them have a lot of hidden potential. Potential that you have never tried to make them realize. And in the end you are left with just that. Potential. You have never tried to fight as a team, and to be honest you wouldn't be able to. The best you can make is to team Kiba with Kaneko, and yourself with Akino and Asia. So you can create 2 incompatible combat teams. When I said incompatible, I meant that these 2 teams won't work against a stronger opponent. And you may have noticed that Issei is left without a team. That's because he is too weak. That's what we'll try to fix. When will you come here again? Rias asked. I'll send some of my peerage members that are more specialized in what you need, he answered. And what about you? I have an important mission from your brother. It's a matter of the safety of the underworld, so I couldn't refuse, Naruto answered. I see. Rias nodded sadly, but she understood that you can't just say no to her brother. Don't worry, my peerage members are more than capable, Naruto said with an eye smile. I sure hope so, the Gremry heiress muttered. Well, wish me luck on my next mission. Ja-eni, and he was gone in a teleportation circle. So he kicks our asses and goes home and calls that training? Issei asked. He was testing us to learn our fighting capabilities better. We have yet to see an actual training, Rias answered. He can't train us unless he knows our current skills. Issei just grumbled. He didn't like having his ass kicked by some bad boy. In the underworld, Naruto appeared in a red teleportation circle in his mansion. All his peerage members except for Kurenai, and Inoue awaited him here. Hello, everyone, he shouted. His peerage members greeted him in response. We have a mission from Lucifer himself. In our last mission, Niji managed to get the coordinates of a possible base of the old Satan's faction, and we faced a modified Hydra that was capable of constant evolving. These 2 things lead us to our mission. We will have to investigate this and kill whoever created this monster. It is a too big danger for our society. We have a very high possibility that our enemies may have a Satan-class devil in their midst, or at least many ultimate-class ones. Isdeath, Yorichi, Akua, Albedo, Guinevere, you are to join me on this mission. Bambietta, look after the castle and summon Inoue. Niji, you will have another assignment. Which is? Niji asked. As you know, I have a contract with Rias Gremry. You must go to Kut and help her train. Ask Kurenai for help and make Shikamaru come. It's been a long time since that sloth did something useful, Naruto commanded. Hi, Naruto-sama. Naruto sighed, being tired from all this Sama crap, but he had given up on trying to re-educate Niji. You know that Kurenai may kill the Red Dragon Emperor for being too perverted? Yorichi asked. Naruto blinked twice and then laughed. Well, let's hope he will survive it. You expect too much from him, the war cat answered. Is he that perverted? Niji asked. More than you can imagine, Yorichi said. Hey, stop this banter, we have things to do. Is death, Orochi, Aqua, Albedo, Guinevere, prepare for a long-term mission, we move in an hour, Naruto commanded and left to prepare himself. In a secret base of the old Satan's faction, a red teleportation circle with a phoenix crest appeared in the middle of the hall. Naruto's group went out from it. There was no soul in the hall. It's too quiet, Is death said. Orochi? Naruto asked. I feel multiple devils, but none of them are in this hall. All of them expect us on the outside, she answered. Well, let's not keep them waiting, Naruto said, and the true Longinus appeared in his hand. Holy spear, extend. Outside of the hall, many devils of the old Satan's faction expected the newly arrived group to exit the hall and get right into their ambush. But then an extremely long holy blade sliced through the wall from the inside, extended even further, and with a quick swipe cut down multiple devils on their side. Holy weapon! It's exorcists! Shouted someone. Damn those holy swords! It's Mimic! A second swipe followed almost immediately after the first one, and even more devils died. The wall was sliced in half and a part of the door fell down because it wasn't connected to the hinges. Those who survived the initial assault were waiting for the warriors of the church they thought attacked them to come out. But instead they got a frosty blizzard that lowered the temperature to -100 Celsius and a 0 visibility. Faster than those devils could even see, Naruto's Rook and Knight using their superior senses dashed from one devil to another, killing them instantly. When Naruto, Is death, Albedo and Guinevere left the hall, they could only see a frosty picture of hundreds of frozen figures of dead mid-class devils. Such a beautiful sight, Is death complimented her own work. As if your ego has to be even higher, Albedo murmured, but Is death ignored her. Naruto just smirked. It was funny to see their banters. It seems that Albedo will never forget Is death that she became my first, and the main woman in this weird self-formed harem. Let's go, he commanded, that were just mid-class devils, maybe some of the weaker high class. We will definitely have to face something more. And so he went to the door to the next hall of this huge castle. I sent 7 signatures inside, Orochi said. 5 of them are high class, 3 ultimate class. 2 of those ultimate class ones are hiding, 1 of them is very strong. There is also a weird ultimate class signature behind the castle. Orochi, stay hidden as a backup, Naruto said. Sure, she nodded, turned into her cat form and disappeared. Naruto pushed the door. The new hall was different from the previous one. This one was more regal. Red carpets, columns, even the throne was present, but it was empty. 5 persons sat on the huge stairs that led to the throne. The first one was a man, about 20 years old. He had light hair and 2 red dots over his eyebrows. The second one was a red-haired tomboyish girl. The third one was a huge fat boy with orange hair. The fourth one was a black-haired boy with 6 arms. The fifth one was a gray-haired boy whose distinct feature was that he had 2 heads. All of them were dressed in a similar way. Black pants tied by a violet rope and light blue long-sleeved zip-up shirt. The only one different was a girl who wore a helmet-like cap. My, there are exactly 5 of them, said a spider-like boy. I thought they would be exorcists. But they are definitely devils, said the girl. Well, most of them are, even if reincarnated. The boy feels like a human though. Don't let your guard down, the one with red dots above his eyes said. He is clearly their leader. He must have learned how to hide his energy completely. Naruto smiled when he heard that. You are definitely a smart one. Indeed I have. You have some holy weapons. Naruto nodded and gestured to Guinevere. She unsheathed Glamdring. Guinevere here comes from the Pendragon lineage, Naruto explained. While she had never worked as an exorcist, she is still a natural-born holy sword wielder. I was pretty lucky to get her in my peerage. So you are indeed a member of the usurpers faction. I prefer it being called anti-Satan faction, Naruto answered. I call it as I see it. I suppose you are right, Naruto agreed. It is obvious that we will have to fight given that our orders obviously include total elimination. But may I learn the names of those whom I will have to fight? It's only polite, isn't it? I suppose, the leader of the enemy group said. Welcome to the base Echo One. One of the temporary bases of our faction. We are called Sound 5 strongest warriors that this base has. My name is Kimimaro, Tayuya, the red-haired girl said. Jirobo, the fat boy said. Kidamaru, the spider-like boy introduced himself. Sakan, said the first head. Yukon, said the second head. Well, that was nice, Naruto said with a smile. My name is Naruto. Is death, Guinevere, Albedo, Aqua. Now that the pleasantries are done, I think it's time to fight, Naruto said, and Kimimaro nodded in agreement. May I take the leader? Is death asked with a bloodthirsty smile. You are insatiable, Naruto answered, shaking his head. He had no desire to argue with his wife. With Is death taking Kimimaro, I think I will take Kidamaru. Naruto will take Jirobo. Guinevere will take Sakan-Yukon hybrid, leaving 2 flat-chested shorties to fight each other. Albedo made a proposal that caused violent reaction from both Tayuya and Aqua. Whom the fuck did you call shorty, you bitch? There is nothing wrong with my breasts or my height, you slut. Ladies shouldn't curse like that, Jirobo said. Shut up. Shut your fucking mouth, fatso. As amusing it is to watch your banter, Is death said. Stop it and let's start fighting. I agree, Kimimaro said. Aqua and Tayuya sent the last dirty look at Albedo, who just giggled, covering her mouth with her palm, but calmed down and prepared for the battle. Naruto's flaming wings appeared from his back as his demonic power was unleashed, and he said, let's start. And the battle begun. Naruto vs. Jirobo. Naruto's wings disappeared, as did his demonic energy. Let's get started, Naruto said. With a surprising speed for his complexion, Jirobo appeared near Naruto and tried to hit him with a strong hit. Naruto jumped back as a huge crater appeared on the ground. Strong, Naruto thought. I can feel that wasn't even close to the extent of his strength. Then the floor crumbled and both of them fell down to a lower level. Naruto used his wings to slow down the fall, while Jirobo simply fell down, not caring about the damage. That gave Naruto a general understanding of what kind of fighter Jirobo is. A physically strong close combat fighter with a high endurance, possible knowledge of some magical spells. Unlikely has any long-range attacks or illusionary powers, which is good. All that's left is to see just how strong he is. He landed to the ground, and then some stone spikes rose from it. Naruto barely managed to dodge. Earth magic, Naruto thought, I guess it suits him. You have pretty good relaxes to dodge my trap like that, Jirobo said. Naruto didn't answer. A magical circle appeared in front of him and a blast of fire was launched at Jirobo. He created an earth wall to block the attack. A huge explosion happened when the blast hit the wall, and the edges of the wall were destroyed as the fire continued its way forwards. Jirobo was unharmed, but just as the fire stopped, Naruto appeared from the left, and with a roundhouse kick hit Jirobo right on the head. Ugh, groaned the giant as his head went through his own wall. A small tickle of blood went from his forehead. You are tough, Naruto complimented, but I think I found your limits. Jirobo pulled out his head. He was enraged that his opponent didn't even take him seriously. I'll show you limits, he shouted. He gathered all his strength and swung his fist at Naruto. But Naruto easily caught it with one hand. You are strong for a high-class devil, Naruto said as a magical circle appeared around his hand. But I am strong for an ultimate class 1. A huge wave of compressed air and fire left Naruto's magical circle and engulfed Jirobo completely, sending him right into the wall behind. When he got up, his body was full of burns, cuts and bruises. He could barely stand on his legs. And that's just from one attack. He realized just how weak he was. But I won't let this stop me. Orochimaru-sama gave me power. He told me that any devil will fall under my feet. Weird marks started to cover his body. With a hiss, all his wounds were skin turned red. His hair grew longer, and his eyes changed color to gold with black scara. He is an ultimate class now, Naruto thought after sensing the rise of power of his enemy. It will be a bit harder than I thought. I'll destroy you. Jirobo roared and rushed to attack. Albedo vs. Kidamaru. They saw as Naruto and Jirobo fell down. Your boss will have a tough time, Kidamaru said. Jirobo may look clumsy, but he is a very dangerous opponent. You clearly underestimate my king, Albedo answered. That Jirobo won't be a problem. A king, huh? Kidamaru mused. I wonder how much pride one must have to willingly become a slave. I wonder how few brains one must have to think that joining a man you love is a bad thing, she asked. So a forbidden love? He smiled a bit. I can relate. My father was a devil while my mother was a Jorigumo. I had a hard time in my faction, but I was finally accepted for my achievements. I suppose so. Albedo's fallen angel wing appeared behind her, but I don't really care. The fact that you are at least part devil is more than enough for me to know that it will hurt. Several spears of holy light appeared around her. A part fallen? Kidamaru was surprised. Then all spears flew at him. He used his spider-like abilities to wrap the web around spears, so they wouldn't reach him. How? Albedo was shocked. Even your devil magic was supposed to be destroyed. That's the thing, he smirked. My web has anti-magical properties. It comes from my mother's side. It doesn't matter if this magic is holy or not. My web is resistant to it. How will you fare now, one-trick slut? Albedo was enraged by that. Not just her attack didn't work, and she couldn't receive an award from her master for a fast finishing her opponent, but that opponent also had a gall to call her a slut. Her feathers turned from being soft to being hard, like the scales of a dragon. I'll show you how, she screamed. She swung her wind and those feather-like scales flew at Kidamaru. They easily sliced through his web and stuck into his body. He gritted his teeth in pain but didn't lose his concentration. How the hell those feathers can be so hard and sharp? They must be soft and harmless. It doesn't matter. He landed to the ground. Albedo saw as parts of him fell off his body. What is that? She asked in a surprise. This is called the armor of sticky gold, he said. This is a kind of web that is extremely hard, and I can produce it from my whole body. That's why it's called that way. So a metallic web, right? Albedo asked with a sadistic glint in her eyes. Yeah, what's about it? Kidamaru saw Tayuya having that look, and he didn't like it even a bit. Nothing, Albedo waved off, but he clearly didn't believe her. You may have questioned yourself. Why are those feathers so sharp? I'll answer your question. Those were not feathers, but scales, and another wave of scales flew into him. Now he managed to prepare his armor beforehand, and even though they stuck into it, his new armor was too thick, so the scales couldn't penetrate it. Scales, he thought. Why would she call it scales unless she is a half-lizard or something? Albedo grinned seeing this and made a deep breath. Oh shit. Kidamaru understood what kind of mix his opponent is. Albedo breathed out a huge wave of fire. Gawa! Kidamaru screamed in pain as he was burned by his own armor. His armor started to melt and his suffering even worsened. He managed to create new layers of armor to push the melted gold off his skin, but the burns he suffered were too heavy for him to continue this battle. And then he remembered the gift he received from Orochimaru-sama. Black marks started to spread across his body. His wounds healed. His skin turned red, his teeth became sharp, a third eye appeared in his forehead. Round 2, he said with hatred. Albedo stood with her eyes wide open. Her opponent had just upgraded from a simple high class to an ultimate class. This battle had just become harder. Akua versus Tayuya. You have pulled the short end of the stick, Tayuya, Akua said. Despite being a bitch, Albedo isn't really that strong, and I'm the 4th strongest member of my peerage. I'm an ultimate class. Tayuya smirked. Those classes mean nothing if you get your ass kicked in the end. So shut the fuck up and die. She took her flute and started playing. The surroundings distorted around Akua. Damn, I had to face an illusion master. And her powers seem higher than Kurenai's, Akua thought. It will be hard to get her unless I'll manage to make a cut. Her surroundings changed to a misty forest. It must be scary not to see your opponent. Akua heard Tayuya's taunting voice sounding from everywhere. Then a powerful hit in the head followed. Shit, Akua cursed, the pain may not even be real. But if it is, then she must have used a familiar or something. I have to admit, she is very skilled, and our difference in power doesn't matter much considering that our specialties are too different. Then Akua flicked her left hand and broke the little finger. Pain allowed her to temporarily break the illusion. She saw 3 giant creatures in front of her. Tayuya saw that Akua's eyes focused, meaning that she broke the illusion. Those are my familiars, she explained. They are called Doki, an Oni species. They look cute, Akua said. Their fists look even cuter close up, Tayuya said, and prepared to play her tune again. Akua had no desire to get into the illusion again, so using her superior speed, she was instantly in front of Tayuya. The redhead managed to sing a few notes bringing Akua back to the misty forest, but the vampire had already known Tayuya's exact location, so she easily delivered a powerful strike to her enemy's stomach. Tayuya puked with blood, her Doki were gone, and she felt that her vitals were hurt. One hit, she thought, just one hit. But if my illusions were good enough, then she wouldn't be able to break out of them. That's it, she said as black markings appeared across her body. I will fucking kill you today, even that's the last thing I do. Her skin turned brown, horns grew on her head and her eyes turned gold with black scara. Akua groaned that she must deal with an ultimate class illusion master. Guinevere versus Sakan and Yukon. Guinevere twirled Glamdring in her hand. Are you scared, devil? She asked. A single cut by this sword, and you may die. The twins scowled slightly, knowing that it was the truth, but didn't show the fear. It would be true if you would be able to cut me, he answered, and luckily for me he disappeared in a burst of speed only to appear right in front of Guinevere. You won't be able to. And he was gone back to his spot. Guinevere was impressed by his speed. She didn't know if that was his maximum, but it was too close to her level for her liking. She knew she was the weakest member of their assault team, and she was chosen only because of her holy swords. So she wanted to prove herself by defeating her opponent on her own, no matter how much better it would have been to call Yoruichi for help. Nice speed, she said with a smile, and appeared behind Sakan. His head was titled to the side and a small cut appeared on his cheek. You are fast too, Sakan acknowledged his opponent, the sword and speed. You must be the knight then. You are correct, Guinevere nodded. You may be even faster than I am. He turned around to see her. But it doesn't mean I'll give up. He pulled out 2 knives and prepared to fight. They moved as blues across the hall. Guinevere had a hard time fighting 2 opponents in one body. He blocked all her strikes, but she couldn't do the same because Yukon used his extra hands to attack. Many cuts appeared on her body. She couldn't get an upper hand on her opponent, so in desperation she swung her sword and an arc of holy energy traveled across the hall. Sakan easily dodged her attack, but many columns were destroyed by it and fell to the floor. Guinevere smiled, knowing that now she could get some advantage. After quickly applying a healing spell, she used another spell. A trap loaded with holy energy from her sword. A whole blast of Glamdring's holy energy sealed within a few runes. While she didn't have a complete immunity to holy light like Naruto or Albedo, she still was pretty resistant to it. And now that the hall wasn't as observable as before, she could lure her opponent into the trap. And again she started to attack her opponent. Both of them again were like blurs. Left swing. He dodged to the right and cut her left shoulder. Not caring about the pain, she continued her assault. Horizontal swing. He stepped back. Vertical swing. He moved to the right. He counterattacked. She blocked the left knife while the right knife cut her hand. Diagonal swing. He moved to the side and cut her right hand. A thrust. He moved to the side again and cut her right shoulder. Finally, he was heading right into her trap. And then he suddenly stopped, 1 step from the runes. You think you were so smart? He asked. You think I didn't notice you were leading me somewhere? Are you that dumb? I am the second in command after Kimimaro. I won't be tricked that easy. And yet you were, she said with a smile. What? He was surprised. It isn't a bomb-like trap, no. It is a barrier, just as she said it. A barrier made of holy energy surrounded Sakan from all sides except the one where Guinevere was standing. She swung her sword and a wave of holy energy was launched at Sakan, whose eyes widened in horror. And you were caught. Sakan screamed in pain as the holy energy destroyed his body. He had only one hope on how to escape inevitable death. I hope that the mark from Orochimaru-sama will save me, he thought. His body started to change. His hair grew longer, his teeth became longer and sharper, his look overall became more demonic. But the most important thing was that his wounds were healed, and his body was surrounded by some sort of aura that protected him from holy energy. Guinevere looked in fear at the monster that her opponent had become. He was an ultimate class devil now, way above her in power. But it didn't mean she would give up. Even if she would have to call Yoruichi, she would try her best. Well, you can't grow without facing the impossible, she thought, and took a battle stance with Glandring ready. Is Death versus Kimimaro. Is Death unsheathed her rapier and pointed it at Kimimaro. Are you ready to die? She asked. A bone sword grew from Kimimaro's hand. You are a Kagaya? She asked in surprise. I thought you all had died in the civil war. I would say the same about the Lucifuge clan, Kimimaro answered. Touché. But you are right. I am the last Kagaya. This battle became even more interesting. The last Kagaya versus one of the last Lucifuges, Is Death announced. Kimimaro without a warning appeared in front of Is Death, surprising her with his speed. Is Death jumped back a few meters. He is pretty fast. As expected from an ultimate class devil. You are good, she said. You are definitely better than your regular ultimate class devil. You worked your ass to hone your skill, I can respect that. But you are not the only one. She attacked him with multiple thrusting motions, but her opponent easily deflected all of them. Is Death pointed two fingers at Kimimaro and a magical circle appeared. A frosty wind blew out of the magical circle, fettering Kimimaro in ice. Then she raised her hand and a giant sharp icicle appeared above her. She swung her hand and launched the icicle with a tremendous speed into Kimimaro. Bones grew from his chest, shattering ice and freeing him. Then he punched the icicle, destroying it in a one hit. That was unexpected, Is Death said. Are that your ribs? Indeed, Kimimaro nodded. This is called Dance of the Larch. Ah yes, the abilities of your clan were called dances, Is Death recalled. Well, let's dance then. They rushed at each other. Dance of the Willow, he said, and multiple sharp and long bones grew from his body. He started to spin almost randomly, creating great difficulties for Is Death in a fight. A cut appeared across her cheek and she jumped back to avoid another one that could have pierced her hand. He is very fast and his movements are impossible to read, she thought. And with those two unknown ultimate class devils observing, we can't really go all out because they can invent a strategy against us and attack us or even simply run away with information about us. Damn, it's harder than I hoped. Why Snobble? She shouted, and multiple sharp icicles appeared around her. She waved her hand and all of them were launched at Kimimaro. He graciously moved between projectiles towards Is Death. Some he destroyed, some simply avoided. He moved so graciously, it looked like he was dancing. Finally, he reached Is Death and pierced her heart with his bone. Kimimaro's eyes narrowed because it was too easy. Is Death he pierced turned into an ice statue and that ice melted into water that started covering his body only to freeze again. Real Is Death jumped from the ceiling. She coated her rapier in wind magic to make it as sharp as possible. And then an ice column started to grow under Kimimaro, raising him with a high speed. Black markings ran across his body. His hair grew longer, his skin turned red, a dinosaur-like tail grew. His eyes turned golden, while his scara turned black. His power skyrocketed to the border level between an ultimate class devil and a Satan class devil. He easily broke the ice and with a speed Is Death had troubles to follow jumped. Is Death managed to block the attack on a pure instinct. But even then she was launched in the ceiling by sheer power of her opponent's attack. She broke through the ceiling and flew right into the seal of the higher floor. Kimimaro got to this floor through his own hole. What is this transformation? Is Death was shocked. His powers grew so fast. He is even stronger than Naruto in terms of sheer power. If this power were widespread among the old Satan's faction, all of us would be dead. That's if we survive this encounter. Something tells me that those two ultimate class devils have some sort of a power-up too. That's a pretty good power-up, Is Death said. Why didn't you use it before? I activated this power-up as you called it only because all other members of my team activated it. Is Death used her senses and understood that he was right. All members of this Sound 5 had this ability. I could have survived the battle with you even without it. But my comrades would die if I wouldn't finish you soon. Kimimaro finished. Now, Is Death understood what kind of man Kimimaro was. He didn't care about himself, he lived for his faction, for his group, for his people. He was driven by an idea and loyalty. So much like Naruto, she thought. But she also knew that such opponents are the most dangerous. You want to finish this fast? She asked, making Kimimaro's eyes narrow. Then let's do it. She touched the ceiling and in a moment it was covered in a thick layer of ice and many sharp icicles grew on it. Then she flicked her fingers and all this ice fell down on Kimimaro. Dance of the Clematis, flower, a sturdy weapon made from a single bone grew on his left hand. With a single strike, he shattered the whole ice ceiling. Is Death's eyes widened. She knew he was strong, but that was almost the most sturdy ice she could create without destroying the whole castle and hurting some of her comrades. And Kimimaro shattered it with such ease. Dance of the Clematis, vine, Kimimaro said, and to Is Death's shock he pulled out his own spine. This is the end of our battle. He jumped at Is Death. Growlhorn? A high ice spike grew from the wall behind her. Kimimaro didn't even notice that as ice shattered on his skin. His death knew that if he were to hit her, she would be as good as dead. She took a deep breath and blew a blizzard blinding her opponent. She swung her rapier at him, but it didn't wound him, his skin was too tough. But that contact allowed Kimimaro to know her approximate location, and he swung his left hand that way. His death sensed his attack, but he was too fast for her to dodge. Her rapier shattered upon contact, and Flower continued its way. She tried to fly behind, while blocking the strike with her hands. And the strike came. She felt that her bones almost broke from pressure, and then she could do nothing to stop herself from crashing into the floor. She felt pain in her arms, ribs, and chest. I must have cracked some bones from that hit, she thought. Amazing battle, exactly what I have wanted. Kimimaro landed a few meters away from her. You may hide from me, but you won't be able to do it forever. I'm sorry, she said. I did it to even our chances. You did not, Kimimaro answered. 5-finger drilling bullets. One of Kimimaro's abilities and the only long-range one he had was to use his fingers as projectiles. Unfortunately for him and fortunately for his death, his left hand was preoccupied with Flower, so he couldn't use half of his bullets. But even 5 of them were more than enough to harm Naruto's queen. Blah! His death puked blood as she felt 5 bones piercing her body. Even her ice armor she hid under her clothes didn't save her as all 5 bullets entered her stomach. I know where you are, he said, twirling the vine. The next moment, his death felt her legs tied by Kimimaro's backbone. She heard a click and understood that this binding won't break that easy. You force me, she said. Absolute Zero sword. A sword made from a dark blue, almost black, demonic energy appeared in her hand. One of my trump cards, she said. It cools everything it touches to the absolute zero. She swung her sword and easily cut through her bindings. Impressive, Kimimaro said, but you will die anyway. He dashed at her with his maximum speed, knowing that she won't be able to dodge. I don't think so, Isdeth said with a bloody smirk, Mahapadma. And the world froze. Isdeth slowly got up and went to Kimimaro's frozen body. You gave me one of the best fights I had, she said. I can only admire your goals, your beliefs, and your power. Even though you won't know it, you have my utmost respect. Thank you. You will be remembered. With these words, she put her sword right through his heart. The world unfroze. She heard the dull sound of Kimimaro's falling body and slowly went to the hole they made while arriving to this floor. This is not the end, she heard his whisper. Impossible, she muttered and turned around. Dance of the seeding fern, he said, and a bone forest started to grow from his position with an unbelievable speed. Isdeth closed her eyes, knowing that she may not survive it. And when she opened them she was near the ceiling with Yoruichi holding her bridal style. Congrats, SD, Yoruichi said with a smile. You managed to defeat a weak Satan-class devil. That's most impressive. I was lucky, Isdeth said. I had some abilities that helped me to even up the odds. Yeah, that ability to stop time was impressive, Yoruichi agreed. I didn't know you could do that. I developed it recently for our spars with Naruto. I didn't show it to anyone yet, Isdeth answered. Your secret is safe, sis, the workat said. How are the others? Guinevere is in the same condition as you are, Yoruichi answered. I'm sending both of you home. Yeah, that should be for the best. Isdeth nodded weakly as her wounds were slowly making her lose her consciousness. Yoruichi activated the teleportation circle, and Naruto's Ice Queen was gone. Guinevere versus Sakan and Yukon. Mutated twins menacingly approached Guinevere, who was definitely not in the best condition to fight a superior opponent. She created another wave of holy energy. Sakan looked at the upcoming attack with a smirk and decided to test his new powers. He stopped the wave with his left hand. Ha 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 ha. He laughed hysterically. It's not burning. Finally. We have evolved. With this, no heaven or hell would be strong enough to stop us. Guinevere looked at him in shock. Sure, she knew that Glamdring was no complete Excalibur, Caliban, Durandal or even Ascalon, but it was still a very strong holy sword and this devil who wasn't exactly that strong brushed off the attack like it was nothing. Faster than she could blink, Sakan was already in front of her. And a barrage of strikes followed. Her vision blurred as she fell to the ground. Broken ribs, concussion, she tried to make a breath. It's painful to breathe. One of the ribs must have pierced a lung. Left leg is broken. Not so tough, right? Sakan asked mockingly. Go to hell, Guinevere breathed out. Ha! Upon barked and unmerged from his brother, she's got spunk. Let me remove it from her. He went closer to Guinevere, who couldn't even get up. What do you want? She asked, breathing heavily. I want to be inside of you, he said with a menacing smile. Her eyes widened in horror. I don't mean like that, he told her. I'm not a scum to fuck a dying woman. But I suppose you will wish I were such a scum after what I'm going to do with you. After those words, he started to merge with her. I'm going to turn your own body against you, he said. She felt that he paralyzed her. And then the pain came. I'm making your muscle tense in different directions, he explained. Then even worse pain came, and now I'm making your own antibodies work against you. That is your power? She asked. Yeah, we aren't just fast and strong, Sakan said. Yukon has an extra power that allows him to merge with me or our enemies. That way we can either fight better having 2 heads or kill our opponents like we kill you now. Guinevere came up with the idea. But to realize that idea, she had to take control of her body, at least temporarily. Our father, Who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those who trespass against us, and lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. Amen, she prayed despite the headache. Both Sakan and Yukon grimaced in pain and lost their concentration. It was enough for Guinevere. She unsealed Excalibur ruler and pierced her leg with it. Are you trying to commit suicide? Sakan asked in surprise. Not exactly, she answered. Yukon unmerged from her and merged back with Sakan. What the hell are you doing? Sakan asked. The sword I used is Excalibur ruler, Guinevere said. The rest you can figure out by yourself. Sakan's eyes widened in fear, and then he felt that his body was paralyzed. Your antibodies are working against you, Guinevere said as Sakan screamed, dying in terrible pain. Guinevere smiled, knowing that she managed to defeat someone who was definitely stronger than she was. The wave of adrenaline passed, and she started to black out from pain and blood loss. Then she heard Yorichi's voice. You did great, and the darkness came. Akua versus Tayuya. Akua looked at Tayuya's new form. You know, you must have a lot of attention from boys with those horns on your head, she said. Definitely less than that slut Albedo, answered Tayuya touching her horns. Agreed, Akua said, surprising Tayuya. What? Did you think I would defend her? Actually, yeah. I don't like her, she is a bitch. I've noticed, Tayuya said and put her flute to her mouth. Akua did weird motions with her hands and Tayuya started to play. Akua froze. Doki reappeared and went to kill Akua. And then Akua swung her hand. Tayuya's eyes widened. Her doki were cut in half by an invisible blade. She blinked and Akua was already next to her. I've deafened myself, Akua said too loudly. Your genjutsu won't work anymore. Their eyes connected. I am a master of genjutsu. Akua heard Tayuya's voice in her head. Sound genjutsu are just my favorite, but I am capable of all of them. You should have acted faster, but your vampire pride got in the way. Surroundings started to blur and Akua found herself back in that forest. I hate you. I will hate you forever. You took her away from me. She saw a silhouette of a silver-haired girl that shouted curses at her. Tears appeared on Akua's eyes after she heard it. You have disgraced yourself by devil blood. That was a silhouette of an adult black-haired male. You should have stayed dead. You are not welcome here anymore. As far as I know, you are no longer my daughter. Akua shut her eyes. Those were probably the worst moments in her life, and she didn't want to wait any longer. Then 3 stakes appeared in the mist and Akua knew what was supposed to be next. Enough! She roared and flared the full power of her demonic aura. She swung her hand and the illusion shattered. She was back in that castle and in front of her was Tayuya with a knife ready, who was lying on the ground cut in half. Tayuya groaned in pain, meaning that she was still alive. Akua quickly created a teleportation circle and sent Tayuya to the Lucifuge castle, knowing that a prisoner would always be a good thing. Then she healed her eardrums and turned to see how others fared. Albedo versus Kidamaru. Now it's your time to die, slut! Kidamaru shouted as his new power flowed through his veins. I'm sorry that I have to burst your bubble, Albedo said. Promotion, queen. Her power skyrocketed, and now she was more powerful than Kidamaru. I don't see any difference with how it was before, she said arrogantly. How? Kidamaru was pissed. He got a gift from Orochimaru-sama himself, and this slut dismissed this as it was nothing. Maybe your power-up was defective? She asked mockingly. I'll show you defective. Kidamaru created an arrow and launched it in Albedo. She shielded herself with her draconian wing. The arrow stuck in the wing. It's quite sharp, she said in surprise. I didn't expect it to happen. She pulled the arrow from her wing and petted the place where the arrow had been stuck. Poor thing, she cooed. That's it. Kidamaru was too pissed to think clearly. You are still there, she said and blew a wave of holy fire at him. He stood in the middle of the firestorm. His aura proved to be holy proof and his skin turned out to be fireproof, but heat was still a problem. But an even bigger problem was that he couldn't see his opponent. And just as he thought about Albedo, she appeared in front of him and pierced his stomach with a holy spear. Your aura protects you from holy energy on the outside, she noticed, but on the inside you are still a devil. She pumped more and more holy energy through that spear until Kidamaru burnt from the inside. Naruto versus Jirobo. You are stronger now, Naruto said. Maybe you will be a bit of a challenge. My power is ultimate. Jirobo shouted and rushed at Naruto. Naruto just looked at Jirobo with a bored expression. Even with your power boost, you are still weaker than me. Give up already? Jirobo tried to hit Naruto, but he simply caught Jirobo's first with one hand. We have already been through that, Naruto said, and a magical circle appeared around his hand. And again Jirobo was engulfed in explosion. You can't be that strong. Jirobo shouted in defiance. But I am. Naruto smirked. Then I will take that power from you. Earth prison of magnificent nothingness. Jirobo slammed his hands into the ground and a huge dome rose and trapped Naruto within. He really steals my magic, he said in surprise, feeling his power being absorbed by the dome. Let's see how you'll handle something like that. Naruto materializes his holy spear and made it release potent holy energy. And that was too much for Jirobo. Naruto could barely hear how his opponent burned alive, and then the dome shattered. Naruto used his senses to learn how his peerage fared. His death is barely keeping up. Damn, Her opponent is almost Satan class, that's bad, he thought. Guinevere is nearly done. Thank God, Orochi is in time. Albedo and Aqua won easily. As expected, his wings appeared on his back and he flew up to the throne room. After Naruto entered the room through the hole in the floor, he saw that Albedo and Aqua were waiting for him and looking at the throne. There a very snake-like man sat. Uzumaki Naruto, the man greeted, I have heard about you, but I didn't expect you to have the true Longinus. It is even more surprising than Vala Lucifer having divine dividing. You have heard about me? Naruto was surprised. He didn't think someone would be interested in him without knowing about his Longinus. Yes, one of my colleagues wanted you, the man explained, and what a wonderful peerage you have gathered. Is Death Lucifuge a beauty and a warrior? She even managed to defeat Kimimaro, and that's a huge achievement. Albedo, a dragon-fallen devil hybrid, a very interesting species. He licked his lips. Guinevere Pendragon armed with lost Excalibur ruler. Aqua Shuzen, one of the most dangerous assassins in the supernatural world. It was reported that she had died, but I see the information was wrong. And finally, Orochi Shihuin, one of the strongest yokai. Tell your cat to show herself. I've known that she was around since the beginning. Orochi appeared next to Naruto after he gestured her. I have to say that you have a very interesting peerage, the man complimented, and I'm sure that your other peerage members are no less interesting. I'm glad that you like my peerage, Naruto answered. I like it too. But I also want to know the name of the man whose castle we invaded. Ah yes, he stood up from the throne. My name is Orochimaru Nakash and welcome to my lair. Chapter 5. A snake that became a dragon. My name is Orochimaru Nakash and welcome to my lair. Nakash? Naruto asked. It is stated in the records that your whole family was killed in the Great War. How could you survive that long without being found? Kukukuku, I never had interest in politics, he said. In fact, most of my clan members were not interested in that useless activity. There were just 10 of us, but we managed to survive the Great War. Unfortunately, the Great War was a too well-known event, putting it lightly, so most of the other pantheons were not exactly happy that just one pantheon created such a disastrous conflict everywhere, including their territories. So when we were found by Slavic gods, we were hunted. And even though Purin is not close to being in the top 10, he was more than a match for all of us. Maybe some of my kinsmen survived, I don't know. I managed to escape, and to hide myself good enough. Don't tell me you joined the old Satan's faction just for protection, Naruto pointed out. That doesn't feel like the truth. I joined the old Satan's faction for opportunities, not for defense. You see, devils are a quite strong race, but we are far from being on the top. Angels and fallen angels are deadly to us because of their holy light. Yokai are in tune with nature. Even humans with sacred gears have potential to overcome us. But the most fascinating species are dragons. Tremendous power, never-ending growth. Even two strongest beings are dragons. You haven't seen the battle between Drake and Albion during the Great War. They were unstoppable. Even God had troubles fighting them. All our magic was useless against them. Even Lucifer himself could do nothing, and he was the strongest, Orochimaru explained. That's why I'm so fascinated with your peerage. I would give my right hand to get them as my lab rats. All members of Naruto's peerage were disgusted by Orochimaru's disregard of human life. You managed to harness Senjutsu, Yorichi pointed out. Yes, Senjutsu. Even though it's a bastardized form of it, but the curse mark provided my minions with the ability to use Senjutsu and Tuki, Orochimaru confirmed. So that's how they managed to gain immunity to my holy light, Albedo deducted. Indeed. That's why your knight Guinevere had been powerless against Sakan and Yukon until she used ruler, Orochimaru agreed, but they were just test objects. I wouldn't use something like that on myself. Naruto sighed in relief. He was truly scared of the possibility of mass usage of the cursed seal. But thankfully, Orochimaru was an egoist who wouldn't share his power. That was something he was happy to hear. But I managed to harness more than just Senjutsu. He proclaimed proudly. I managed to infuse myself with the DNA of a dragon. Suddenly, Orochimaru's power started to grow immensely. Draconian horns appeared on his forehead, a tail grew on his body. Yorichi sensed that he combined demonic energy, draconian energy and Senjutsu together. As soon as the transformation begun, Naruto pointed the true Longinus at Orochimaru's head. The spear extended in a flash of light, and pierced the wall behind Orochimaru. Their opponent had his head tilted just enough to avoid the spear. How much stronger has he become? Naruto asked. Even he couldn't track the speed the spear extended with. But Orochimaru managed to avoid it using as little energy as possible. No excessive movements, only one precise movement that was needed. Yorichi frowned and answered quietly, he is not Surzex or Ejuka yet, but he is already stronger than Graphia. Shit, Naruto could only curse. Kabuto, Orochimaru said, I want you to take that hybrid girl. Her body would be useful for my research. Another person emerged from shadows. It was a gray-haired teen boy in glasses. He wore a gray shirt and black pants, his hair were tied in a low ponytail. As you command, Lord Orochimaru, Kabuto said. Naruto saw Kabuto moving towards Albedo and pointed his spear at the boy. Extend, Naruto said. Kabuto's eyes widened as he saw that the spear was stopped by his master's hand just a few centimeters from his heart. I didn't even see him move, Akua thought. He was like a blur. Naruto's eyes narrowed. He is fast, even faster than I am now, but he is not used to that speed, Orochi thought. Now, I don't want you to kill my best subordinate, Orochimaru reprimanded Naruto all while holding the blade of the spear in his hand. Isn't it amazing what I have achieved? I used Dragon Aura and Senjutsu to completely negate holy energy. Even the true Longinus, the most potent source of holy energy, is useless. Holy projection, Naruto said, and a huge blast of holy energy hit Orochimaru point blank. Naruto felt that his opponent let go of the spear and retracted it. Neat, Orochimaru said from the cloud of smoke. Part of his clothes were destroyed and dragon scales on his body became visible. I managed to be unscratched even by a pure holy light attack. I think I am truly a new step in the evolution of devil species. None of Naruto's team liked the sound of that. Kabuto, do as I said, I want to check those three. They may prove entertaining or even useful for my goal, Orochimaru said with a scary smile. Kabuto nodded and confronted Naruto's palm. In a blink of an eye, Orochimaru was in front of Naruto with his fist ready to strike. Just by pure instinct, Naruto managed to block this attack with his sacred gear. He was pushed into the wall behind by the strength of the attack. I could feel my bones cracking, Naruto thought as his phoenix regeneration healed all the damage. His strength is crazy. I'm not even sure if he goes all out. Meanwhile, right after sending Naruto into the wall, Orochimaru attacked Orochi, who managed to dodge a powerful kick that shattered the floor and created a 15 meters hole in radius. You are as fast as they said, Orochimaru complimented her. Thank you, she winked playfully, despite all the danger of the situation. Akua appeared right behind him and made a slicing move with her hand. Orochimaru's body was split in half, but then many snakes emerged from the cut and tied his body back how it was. In the next moment, he delivered a powerful kick to Akua's stomach that sent her flying into the wall behind. Hujutsu Jigen 2, Orochimaru said, the most powerful sword-type spell. Even my newest power couldn't defend me from that attack. You are truly one of the most dangerous assassins of the whole supernatural world. But you decided to go for a horizontal cut instead of a vertical one. What a shame. Akua had blood leaking out of her mouth. She had troubles getting up after that kick, and even her vampire healing was not enough to let her instantly join the fight. Fire magic, Naruto said as multiple magical circles appeared around him, many fire dragon missiles. From each circle appeared a fire missile in the shape of a head of a dragon and was launched into Orochimaru. Orochi quickly used a binding spell in Orochimaru, leaving with no way to defend or to dodge, and moved next to Naruto. A huge explosion that destroyed half of the hall engulfed Orochimaru completely. Naruto didn't expect this attack to kill his enemy, but he wanted to see if he could at least damage him that way. It was one of the most concentrated fire attacks he could use without the true Longinus, so he could hope for a success. After the explosion occurred, a powerful burst of wind blew away all the smoke. Orochimaru was floating above the destroyed floor with his wings on show. These wings didn't look like usual devil wings anymore. While they kept their shape, they grew bigger, their color changed from black to gray, they were covered in scales, and they were growing from Orochimaru's shoulder blades, unlike usual devils who have wings growing from their lower back. This is amazing, Orochimaru said as the power was literally radiating from his body. I couldn't even imagine that this transformation would be that strong. Akua jumped next to Naruto and Orochi and said, he is toying with us. If he would really want it, he could kill us almost instantly. Naruto said, he is not toying with us, he is testing us. I don't think he has any intention of letting us go. Very perceptive, Naruto-kun, they heard Orochimaru's voice from behind. They all stood there with their eyes open wide. They didn't even notice him moving. Just 1 second ago he was floating in front of them, and now he was behind them. Orochi felt herself the worst because she was both the censor and the fastest member of the team. Are you impressed? He asked. Very, Naruto said as multiple magical circles appeared over his spear. His red demonic flames mixed with white holy energy, creating bright orange fire. Taimatsu, a huge pillar of holy demonic fire erupted from where Naruto stood. Orochi and Akua escaped the attack, but Orochimaru took the full power of it. When the fire disappeared, Naruto could see Orochimaru, whose left hand and wing were covered in burns, but they were quickly healing. Usually, holy and demonic energy cancel out each other, Naruto explained, but I've learned how to make them amplify each other, creating even more powerful flames. Despite his shocked expression that he was hurt by those who were obviously weaker than him, Orochimaru was still a scientist, so he was impressed by Naruto's ability. Truly fascinating. He exclaimed, I wish that you were my test subject even more. You are insane, Naruto said as he flew away from his opponent. Maybe I am, Orochimaru didn't even try to deny it, it's the matter of perspective. What is insanity to you may not be insanity to me. You find my experiments insane, while I find your ridiculous attempts to fight me insane. What's the point in trying to keep distance if you can't even track me? Naruto just scoffed, but he had to agree that there was some truth in Orochimaru's words. Even the tiniest extra fraction of a second can be essential for victory. I suppose, Orochimaru agreed, but let's put your words to a test. Naruto was instantly covered in orange holy demonic flames. Barrier of holy demonic flames, he exclaimed, and a wall of concentrated fire rose from the ground. Orochimaru hit the barrier with all his powers. Cracks appeared on the barrier, and Orochimaru's fist was heavily burnt. He gritted his teeth in pain when he heard Yorichi's voice. Shunko! Orochimaru turned his head only to see the fist of covered in lightning Yorichi in front of his face. And no matter how strong you are, you can't cancel physics. Orochimaru's body was launched with a tremendous speed across the hall. He managed to regain his balance only to see Aqua flying at him with her hand ready. He understood that he won't be able to avoid her attack, so he changed his position, so his head would be the furthest part of his body from Aqua. And then something went out of his mouth just before Aqua sliced his body vertically in half. All three members of Naruto's peerage looked up to see what it was, only to see another Orochimaru covered in some slime. They looked as his cut-in-half body fell to the floor below them and couldn't believe their eyes. I am impressed, Orochimaru said in a way more serious voice. You could really kill me. To force me to use my snake rebirth technique, very impressive. To be honest, I haven't seen such a teamwork in a long time. But the playtime is over. Shit, was the common thought of all three members of Naruto's peerage. Wind magic, great breakthrough. A magical circle appeared around his hand and created an incredibly powerful gust of wind that threw Naruto, Aqua and Yorichi in the wall behind them. Balance Brea Naruto tried to say as his power started to grow, only for Orochimaru to appear in front of him with his hand extended. After learning that Naruto's fire even without balance breaker could hurt him, Orochimaru didn't want to even risk being caught in his balance breaker attack. Wind magic, vacuum bomb. He pushed his palm in Naruto's stomach. Naruto's eyes widened as he sensed that Orochimaru's technique entered his stomach, and then it exploded along with Naruto's body. Naruto felt how his body was torn to shreds by the explosion. His sensors were overloaded with pain. He fell to the ground and that even despite his phoenix regeneration that would heal his very soon, he won't be able to fight effectively in his current psychological state. Yorichi's Shunko spell was destroyed by the wind technique, so she didn't have enough speed to dodge Orochimaru's attack. Orochimaru landed multiple hits on her limbs and body, breaking a lot of bones in the process, and left her stuck in the wall unconscious. Aqua managed to keep herself ready for Orochimaru's assault. She let Orochimaru's hit pass through her body, surprising him. Then she moved to the left and with a swing of a hand cut off his right arm. You bitch! He snarled as his limb fell down. I wanted to conduct some experiments on you, but I think I will kill you right now. You are just a vampire, nothing special. Snake magic. Hidden shadow snakes. Dozens of snakes emerged from his sleeve, but they were instantly cut down by Aqua from an impressive distance. Don't think it would be easy, Aqua said. I haven't expected this to be easy. You are an ultimate class devil after all, Orochimaru said, but to think that Higetsuji Gintu could be used not just in close combat. I am surprised, I didn't know that. But it changes nothing. Then Orochimaru sensed the huge buildup of holy energy, and saw the true Longinus extending. He caught it with his left arm and to his surprise the spear managed to cut him. How? He asked the wounded and heavily breathing Naruto, who wore a satisfied smile that unnerved Orochimaru. How? This is my will, Naruto simply answered. Your will? Orochimaru didn't understand it at first, but then his eyes widened. I see that you understood, Naruto said, the truth idea. Even in this weakened state, I still have enough strength to use it. And the spear corresponded to my will. I won. And your will was? Orochimaru asked with fear in his voice. To make your new powers poisonous to you, Naruto answered with a satisfied smirk. Orochimaru puked with blood. The pain he started to feel was indescribable. He saw that necrosis started to spread across his body. He tried to cancel his transformation, but it didn't happen for some reason. Naruto put his hand to the ground, summoning Hydra. A huge beast appeared from the magical circle. Try to win the monster of your own making, Naruto said. Hydra, attack. Orochimaru's eyes widened in horror as the giant monster attacked him and dragged him to the lower floor. Aqua, go and help Albedo, Naruto said. I'll put Yorichi down. Hi, the vampire said and flew away, with Kabuto and Albedo. So it is your turn to entertain me now? Albedo asked. Kabuto just narrowed his eyes and smiled. I suppose you could call it that way. In the end, it doesn't matter. Albedo summoned multiple holy light spears and launched them in Kabuto that easily weaved between the projectiles. It seems you are as much a snake as your master, Albedo said. You are just as slippery as one when I tried to hit you. Was I supposed to just let you kill me? Kabuto asked with a smirk. A girl can dream, Naruto's pawn answered with a wink. I suppose, Kabuto agreed with a light chuckle. Now let's put your strength on test. Wind magic, vacuum bullets. Kabuto extended his index and middle fingers making his hand look like a pistol. He pointed his hand at Albedo. Then a magical circle appeared in front of those two fingers. Albedo's left shoulder exploded in blood. Ah, she cried in pain. She narrowed her eyes and saw slight distortions in the air. She changed her wings to draconian and shielded herself from attack. Some of her scales shattered, but they did their job. So invisible attacks work pretty good against you, Kabuto stated. Good to know. Naruto-kun doesn't use attacks like that, she thought. He prefers wide-ranged or just powerful attacks. This is not something I was prepared to. Wind magic, multiple wind blades. Kabuto made several slashing moves with his hand. Albedo made a deep breath and blew a wall of flames. The wind swords exploded, and she was thrown through the wall behind her. That was painful, she thought. She got up and saw that Kabuto was slowly approaching her while healing his wounds. Those blades were made from concentrated oxygen, he said. I guess, now, you know why using fire magic against advanced wind magic is harmful. But you were damaged too, she countered. But I can heal, so it doesn't matter, Kabuto said. You see, I'm not just an expert chemist, biologist and medic. I also possess an ability to heal myself from almost any wound. And it doesn't matter if the damage was done by holy magic or any other kind of magic, they all heal the same. Thus, your biggest advantage doesn't work. Albedo's face turned into a scowl. But Kabuto continued, and considering that you are not a real ultimate class devil, you are just promoted to one, it means that your powers are temporary. If I damage you bad enough, you will revert to your usual high-class devil state. It won't be exactly hard to defeat you, even though it's not really hard even now. His hands started to glow with green. What is this? Albedo asked. For some reason, she didn't like the looks of it. These are my scalpels, Kabuto explained. I usually use them for surgery or research, but they are still good in combat. Kabuto moved with amazing speed and precision and cut Albedo's back. She fell to the ground. If you don't know what had happened, let me explain this to you, Kabuto said. Right now I've cut your spine, your body no longer can move. Fuck you! Albedo cursed, as if I didn't understand it without you. Well, I suppose that a deep cut over your back and indeed a big giveaway. He agreed with a slightly embarrassed chuckle. Anyway, it was a fun battle for me even if it was too short. Now you will serve a greater purpose. He went to pick her up, but suddenly her palm opened and a huge ray of holy energy exploded from Albedo's hand. The ray pierced the roof, and parts of the ceiling fell down on Kabuto's body. She slowly got up and fixed her dress. I have my own secrets, she said, and went to finish off Kabuto. My ability from my dragon side is very interesting. I can manifest scales over my human form, and those scales can negate any damage I receive. Impressive, she didn't expect him to be able to answer. From the smoke rose her opponent's figure. He lacked his right hand and part of his chest, but they were quickly healing. Too quickly for her liking. How? She stuttered from shock. I have told you I can heal. She didn't see his smirk, but she was sure he had one. She created multiple light spears and threw all of them at him, but he managed to finish his healing and then dodge the attack. Scalpels once again appeared over his hands. Time to end this, he said smugly. Albedo was scared. She could use this ability only once a day so far, so she was sure she would lose this one. Indeed, was heard from behind Kabuto, and his top part of the head was sliced off his body. Aqua stood behind him. You look like shit, Albedo said to her teammate. You would look worse, Aqua countered. Touché. Burn his body, Aqua commanded. I don't want his annoying ability to be replicated. Sure, Albedo concentrated her dragon fire and incinerated Kabuto's body. When Albedo and Aqua returned to the throne room, they saw Naruto sitting on the floor with unconscious Orochi in his hands and heard the sounds of fighting from the levels below. Then the sound stopped. Naruto breathed out a sigh of relief. Aqua, prepare the teleportation circle for the three of you, he commanded. What's wrong? Albedo asked worriedly. I don't sense any problems with your demonic power. Orochimaru hit me pretty badly, Naruto explained. I'm not in the best state right now because of it. Okay, fine, she calmed down. You think I'll let you leave after all you've done? They heard a raspy voice and saw Orochimaru flying up from the hole. He was badly wounded and managed to cancel his transformation. You have destroyed my base, used my own weapon against me, killed my best subordinate, and took away my power. He screamed in anger. None of you will leave here today. The wall behind him was destroyed, and a huge snake-like lizard that was over 100 meters in length, and about 20 meters in height entered the hall. Behold Manda, the second version, he exclaimed. Manda was a familiar of my household for thousands of years, the strongest snake-type familiar. He was stagnating for years until I've upgraded him using the DNA of a dragon. A new stage in evolution. That thing was reported by Orochi to be ultimate class level, Naruto reckoned. Do we have any chances to defeat him now? Aqua asked. Maybe with your Hujutsu Jigen too, Naruto said, but even without his upgrade Orochimaru is an ultimate class devil, and he must have some more tricks in his sleeves, considering that he managed to kill that Hydra. Orochimaru and Manda together would be a big problem, especially when Orochi is in this state. Agreed, she nodded. We leave, Naruto said quickly. A purple light started to glow in Manda's mouth. Orochimaru, Naruto said mockingly, bye-bye, and they were gone in a flash of a yellow light, right before the wall of purple flames could crush them. Damn them! Orochimaru cursed and fell to the ground in pain. He couldn't fight in his current state, he could barely use his devil magic. Naruto and his team didn't know that, and he was happy that his bluff worked. But that was only a little piece of happiness compared to the amount of hatred and anger he held toward the blonde half-devil. I will get my powers back, no matter what, and then I will have my revenge, he made a promise to himself. And he was going to keep it. In Ko Town, Rias Gremry and her peerage waited for their new trainers. A teleportation circle with a phoenix crest appeared in the middle of the room. They saw 4 people appeared inside the circle. The first one was an orange-haired girl with brown eyes and a pretty impressive bust. It wasn't quite on Akino's or Rias' level, but it was more than enough to make Issei stare at her. She was dressed in a gray Japanese school uniform with a red tie. The second one was a male with long brown hair. He was dressed in a white battle kimono with brown pants. The third one was a woman dressed in a black blouse with black pants tied by a red belt that complemented her red eyes. She painfully held by an ear the fourth person. It was a 16-year-old boy with a pineapple-like haircut. He was dressed in a green t-shirt and pants in a darker shade of green. My name is Yuhi Kurenai, and I am here to help you with your training, Kurenai said with a polite bow. Hello, my name is Rias Gremory, a high-class devil and the heiress to the house of Gremory. Rias introduced herself. Hi Majima Akino, Rias Queen. Kaneko Tuju, Rias Rook. Kibayuro, Knight. Hayada Issei. I'm Bucho's pawn, Issei shouted proudly. Hyuga Niji, Naruto-sama's Rook. Niji introduced himself. I will train you in hand-to-hand combat. Inoue Orihime. I'm Naruto's bishop, she said joyfully. I will help you with barriers and healing. The second boy closed his eyes and didn't move. Then Kurenai smacked him over the head, and he jumped in shock, indicating that he had been asleep. While standing, Nara Shikamaru, Naruto's pawn, he said, I will be planning your training. I also may help you with strategy. I'm Naruto's another pawn, Kurenai said, and while I doubt I'll teach you much, I'm here for a reason. I'm tasked with watching over these children and making them do their job even if some of them don't want to. She eyed Shikamaru intensely. I'm also an expert in illusionary magic and quite capable in many other branches. I take it all other peerage members are on that mission for my brother. Rias made a guess. You are correct, Kurenai nodded. Why this Naruto guy has boys in his peerage? Is he a gay or something? Issei asked bluntly. Rias wanted to facepalm. Akino smiled. Yuta wanted to disappear. Kaneko narrowed her eyes at the only pawn of Rias' peerage. Kurenai's eyebrow twitched, but she didn't lose her posture, despite having a desire to put the pervert into one of her illusions. I'm sorry for my pawn, Rias apologized. He has a dream of having a harem, and he is new to the supernatural world. He doesn't understand yet that peerage and harem are not the same. Apology accepted. Kurenai nodded, and yes, peerage and harem are not the same. Even if Naruto is in sexual relationship with some of us. Even you? It was Akino who asked her. Kurenai smiled and shook her head negatively. No, not with me. Despite all his good qualities, he is still just a 17-year-old boy. If I were to seek a relationship, I would try to find someone more mature. But I don't seek them now for some personal reasons. Akino nodded understanding. But I suppose we should move to our training, Kurenai finished, getting a nod from Rias. On the training ground. Alright, I came up with a training regime that will allow you to reach the level that should allow you to defeat Riser with right planning, Shikamaru said. Anything special we should know? Rias asked. Considering Issei's abysmal levels of magic, it's really useless to teach him something. The only thing that's left is to make him a tank. Thus, Issei's first task would be to bring his physical form to a needed level. I have an idea of how to help him achieve his balance breaker, but I hope it won't come to that. Issei, you have to do 50 laps around the training field, Shikamaru finalized. Issei looked in hope at his king, but Rias just confirmed that he should do it with a nod. With his spirits down, he went to run. You, Akino and Kaneko will work with Niji on your hand-to-hand abilities. Issei will have to join you once he reaches a certain level, Shikamaru told. And what about Asia? Rias asked. She will work with Orihime. They are very similar, so it would be for the best, Shikamaru said. They both have a sacred gear with some sort of healing properties, so that should be fine. Kiba will also work with Orihime to make some sort of defense for himself. And how long will it take us to reach the level you want? Doing this routine over a few months should be enough, Shikamaru shrugged. In the end I want you to fight Naruto and his another bishop. It will be the closest experience you can get to fighting Riser's peerage. Naruto is also a phoenix while his bishop has somewhat similar abilities to Yubaluna. Explosive magic? Ross asked. Yeah, Shikamaru nodded, just a different one. How do you rate her compared to Yubaluna? I would say Naruto's bishop is stronger, Shikamaru honestly answered. That's good to know, Rias nodded. Later that evening in the building of the Occult Research Club, Rias and Akino were all tired and sweaty from all the work they did with Niji. Kaneko was slightly tired but was fine overall. Kiba and Asia were out of magic from their training, while Issei was lying on the floor, making some dying sounds. That is what you call training? Rias asked, heavily breathing. Shikamaru, who was lying on the ground doing nothing the whole time, answered, yeah, that's how we train. Right. Rias didn't even want to comment it while Kurenai once again slapped Shikamaru over his head. I enjoyed the workout, Akino said with a little smile. Yeah, it was good, Kaneko nodded. You don't know what I've suffered, Issei managed to say. Both Niji and I went through worse, Shikamaru answered. A magical circle appeared near Orihime's head. It was a call from the underworld. Sorry, she chirped and bowed politely. Naruto and his team returned from their mission, and they require my attention. And then she teleported away. That was quick, Kurenai said. I expected them to be somewhere out there for a few weeks. I'm more concerned that Inoue said they, Shikamaru pointed out. It seems the mission was way harder than we thought. Kurenai frowned but agreed with Shikamaru's statement. I also have to go. I have my contract waiting, Kiba said and left the room. There was an uncomfortable silence in the room. Well, if everyone is leaving, maybe we should go home? Shikamaru asked. That's a great idea, Issei groaned. If only I could walk. Akino, can you please bring Issei home? Ross asked her queen. Sure thing, Bucho. Akino nodded and took Issei bridal style. His face turned red from embarrassment. How cute. My kohai is blushing. Akino cooed and left the room with Asia following her. Kurenai, can I talk with you for a second? Rias asked. Yes, Kurenai answered and gestured for Niji and Shikamaru to leave without her. Kaneko left too. Why did you join Naruto's peerage? Rias asked once everyone left. That's a sudden question, Kurenai said. Why do you ask? Rias paused. I can't help but think that I did something wrong in my life. I compare Naruto's peerage, and I'm jealous that you are so much stronger than we are. Naruto is as old as I am, but he is stronger. Even you are pretty strong. You are just a pawn, and your level of demonic power is already at a high-class level. Just what did I do wrong? That's a complicated question, Kurenai answered. We are an organization, we are a combat unit, and Naruto created his peerage with that purpose. So, we are constantly training, we are constantly fighting, we are doing different tasks. So, with our constant practice, we are bound to grow stronger, and Naruto never took people without already existing combat abilities into his peerage. Orochimaru is an exception. So you did nothing wrong, you just had a different life. Your peerage is like a family except for Issei, and I'm slightly jealous of it. Sure, we're close, but we are not as close as you are. Ria smiled when she heard it. She was in a depressed state after the training. She saw how much weaker her peerage members were. But after hearing those words from Kurenai, she calmed down, knowing that not everything she did was wrong. By the way, what is that sacred gear Orochimaru has? She asked. She was shocked by its abilities and wanted to learn more. It's called Holy Rejection, Kurenai explained. I'm not an expert in sacred gears, but from what Naruto told me once, its power comes from God himself. What do you mean? All sacred gears in God's system are giving its wielder some sort of power, and that power comes from either a creature sealed in them or from some aspect of some creature sealed in them. A simple example is the boosted gear and a twice critical, Kurenai explained. Yes, I know that, Rias nodded. It is just a theory, but not without some sort of proof. God distributed some of his powers to different sacred gears for some reason, Kurenai finished. So you say that the twilight healing that Asia also has a part of God's power? Rias asked. Yes, I think so. And that sacred gear didn't reject her even after being reincarnated into a devil? Rias continued. Don't you find it strange? I can't comprehend God's ideas. Kurenai finished the discussion. It was very close to unveiling the greatest secret of the Bible faction, and she didn't want to be executed for telling it. Why did you join Naruto's peerage? Rias suddenly asked. Why do you ask? It's just you said that he took already capable fighters in his peerage. He must have given you something to make you join, Rias said. I volunteered, Kurenai answered. I know that Naruto indeed did something to make some people join his peerage with only few exceptions. Shikamaru joined to escape from his mother's nagging, for example. It's a stupid reason to join, Rias was surprised. Shikamaru is a genius. He has the highest rating in both shogi and go in some internet platforms, even higher than real champions. But he is also extremely lazy. Naruto gave him an opportunity to laze around for 10,000 years and earn more than he would if he were to do some real job. Thus he can now indulge in his laziness and his mom can't beat him because he earns a lot of money, Kurenai explained. I won't tell why or how others joined cause it's not my story to tell. That's kinda funny, the Gremry heiress admitted. It is, Kurenai nodded. So why exactly did you join? Rias wanted to get an answer. You can say, I've sold my soul to a devil for something. Kurenai gave only a vague answer. That's all I'm going to say. And did you get what you wanted? Rias asked. Yes. Underworld, the infirmary of the Lucifuge castle. I reject. Orochimaru used her sacred gear and Akua's wounds were gone. Thanks, Haim, Akua said. No problem, Akua-chan. Chirped the orange-haired girl and hugged the petite vampire, who didn't even try to resist. How are you, Naruto? Orochimaru asked, when she turned to her king, who was sitting on his bed and looking at Yoruchi's unconscious body. Even though Inoue had already healed the Nekashu, she still didn't wake up. What do you think? He asked rudely, but then his demeanor quickly changed. Sorry, I became too overconfident. I knew that we could face someone way stronger than we are, but I haven't even thought that it could turn out this way. Don't worry, Naruto-kun, she will wake up. Orochimaru tried to cheer up him. She could have died. You saw her state when I brought her. You saw Estetha's state. You saw Guinevere's state. He said I'm the cause of it. We have to be ready. We have to prepare more. But they are fine now. Orochimaru almost shouted. It was luck, but then Naruto was interrupted by Akua. Oh, shut up. She said, stop sulking. Are you a girl or what? It's diff. It's not different. I was there too. We both were there. She interrupted him again. You could do nothing. We were in a bad position since the beginning. What I want to say is that it wasn't your fault. Orochimaru was just too strong for us. Sound 5 were also pretty strong. We did the best thing we could, and the most important thing is that no one died. Yes, we all were close to death, but here we are. Alive, so put your head out of your ass and relax. Satan knows you need it. Naruto grunted. Yeah, maybe you are right. I know how you feel right now, she told him sadly. so close yet so far away, right? Right, he nodded. I'll be with her till she wakes up, Naruto finalized. Won't his death be jealous? Akua smirked. I think she will understand, Naruto answered, and no matter how sure in it he tried to sound, he still failed. Go, I can sit there instead of you while you report the results of the mission, Akua said. Never thought you can be so compassionate, Akua, Naruto said. You helped me back then, I help you now. Is that all? He asked teasingly. She huffed, and turned away from him. Thanks, he said before leaving the room. He helped both of us when we needed it but can't help himself, Orihime said. Yeah, he is an idiot, Akua confirmed, and both girls giggled. After leaving the hospital room, Naruto joined his queen, who had already been there waiting for him, with all 4 Satans present. I take it the mission was a failure, Surzex said seriously. You could say that, Naruto didn't disagree, but we still managed to weaken our enemies and learn their tricks. Elaborate, was the short command from the Crimson Satan. Our previous assumption about the newfound researches of the old Satan's faction that allowed them to empower themselves turned out to be true, Naruto said. This power-up made from a high-class devil an ultimate class 1 and from an ultimate class 1 a Satan class 1. I've faced the strongest member of this so-called Sound 5. It was a team made from high-class devils with an ultimate class 1 leading them. This team was created to protect that base, and they were given this powers. His death continued for him. I've fought the leader of the group and Yorichi confirmed that he was a weak Satan class devil. If not for some luck and 2 of my trump cards I would have died. Congratulations on beating an enemy that powerful, Ajuka said. Each member of my peerage fought 1 member of the Sound 5 with Yorichi being our backup, Naruto said. Only his death and Guinevere were out after the fight. Also, Akua managed to get one of the members of the Sound 5 as a prisoner. That's good to hear. Then Yorichi joined us, and we faced the leader. His name is Orochimaru Nakash. Is this name familiar to you? Naruto asked. Ajuka scowled after hearing this name. Do you know of him? Seraphol asked. Yes, he answered with a deep breath, unfortunately. So? Falbium asked, bored, quit stalling. As you know, I am the head of scientific department, so I had to scroll through all previous researches and researchers that had ever worked for the devil government. Nakash was a family of snake-like devils, much like Bune family. It is rumored that they can turn into snakes, but I have no real proofs of that. All of them, their whole family, dedicated their lives to expand the scientific knowledge. And they did expand it no matter what the cost is. The most monstrous research of our days, I mean the Holy Sword Project, can be considered a child's play compared to what they did, and Orochimaru Nakash was one of the leaders of those projects. He is knowledgeable in all areas of science, but his favorite one is biology. He was considered a genius even in their family. It is recorded that their family was eliminated during the Great War, but it seems that some of them survived. Indeed, Naruto nodded. He said that only 10 of them survived the war, and they had no desire to return to the underworld, so they tried to hide in the human world. Unfortunately for them, they were found, and almost all of those who didn't die during the Great War were killed by some gods. Orochimaru has an unhealthy obsession with dragons after seeing the battle between Draig and Albion, so he infused himself with their DNA and combined all this with Senjutsu. All 4 Satans were surprised to hear this. We nearly died during that battle, but I managed to make these upgrades poisonous to his body using the truth idea. Then I had to tend to Yorichi's wounds and after that he called Manda. He said it was his familiar, and he turned this Manda, who was a snake before, in a snake-dragon hybrid. We teleported away after that. I wasn't ready to risk my peerage members anymore. How strong would you rate him? Surzex asked. Stronger than Grafia, was Naruto's answer, but he wasn't used to his new strength, and he is too self-centered to share his powers. Also, I have a feeling that he will want to have his vengeance on me. That's both good and bad, Surzex finalized. It's not exactly disappointing that you've failed this mission all things considered, but I'm still dissatisfied. I hope that would be your only failed mission. Naruto caught the hidden meaning behind that phrase of Surzex and nodded understandingly. Dismissed, Surzex said, and both Naruto and his death bowed politely and exited the room, leaving 4 Satans to converse with Naruto and his death outside of the castle. What is our plan now? His death asked her king. I don't want to leave Yorichi while she is in that state, Naruto said. I suppose we will stay in the underworld for a time. How does the idea of training together sound? A bloodthirsty smile appeared on her face, thrilling. I've thought so, Naruto smirked. At the same time in another part of the underworld. How is the process of my marriage? Asked an arrogant blonde-haired boy. The party was finally organized. It was set, so all lords could attend. Lord Riser, answered the messenger. Good, Riser nodded. And when it is? In 40 days, Lord Riser. That was the earliest date we could use. Fine by me, he shrugged. 40 days is not that long and finally Rias will be mine. What if Naruto was Heaven's son in High School DxD? And thanks for watching my video till the end. If you enjoyed this content, then do consider subscribing to my channel. And leave a like if you guys need the next part. Comment down and thanks for watching the video and see you guys in the next video.